Over the course of 7 weeks, the strongest collegiate chess programs in the world competed for a chance to play in the CCL Championship.
But what is he doing? This cannot be real.
This is like some sort of Jedi mind trick, perhaps.
But now, the regular season is over, and the playoffs have arrived.
I do believe that we are the favorites.
Yeah, we don't tolerate any disrespect, so today we show that we are the best team.
Will St. Louis University three-peat? Will neighbor and national rival Webster University knock them off their throne? Or is there a dark horse lurking in the back-rank shadows?
What's it like to have ice in your veins?
Luckily we won. Yeah, I had no idea what I was playing.
Ultimately, there can only be one champion. The 2024 CCL Spring Semifinals start now.
Welcome to the 2024 Collegiate Chess League Spring Season presented by SIG. Today, we have the semifinals, and I'm Anna Cramling, I'm your host, and I'm so excited to be joined by you, Joe, CCL Commissioner. How are you doing, Joe?
Anna, this is the last weekend of the entire season. This is so exciting. We have the final 4 teams remaining. One of them will be crowned the champion, but they got to make it to the finals tomorrow. First, by winning today, this is the season on the line. I mean, I can't be more excited to be here and to have you back. Welcome back from Reykjavik. We all missed you.
Thank you. I missed you too, Joe, and I missed being part of the Collegiate Chess League. So I'm very excited to be back, and at such an amazing time. We have 2 amazing semifinal matches today, starting with Webster versus UTRGV. Later on, we're going to be having St. Louis versus Missouri. But Joe, I mean, Webster versus UTRGV, people have predicted who they think is going to win. And actually, 68% of people think that Webster is going to win. Do you agree with Webster having such a big majority of voters here?
68% is quite a lot. I do think it's frankly warranted, though, because Webster is the favorite. They are the higher seed. They actually had a bye last week, and UTRGV, they looked a little shaky making their way into the playoff bracket. And yeah, they didn't end their season on a good note. They actually lost to Athens, but were able to get it back last week. A little bit of the drama that you missed. They barely won 8.5 to 7.5. It came down to 1 game, but UTRGV, they've punched their ticket to the semifinals. They have a chance here against Webster. But we saw them play actually earlier in the regular season, if you remember that, Anna. It went to overtime.
I do remember that. It was a very close match. It went to overtime. We didn't know who was going to win, and it was extremely exciting. So we're going to see if the same thing happens today. And I mean, I feel like they're at their peak right now. Both of them have had the whole season to play on. So I do think that we're going to be seeing an even better match today. But here's the thing, Joe. These teams are battling for a spot in the CCL history books, but there's also some prize money on the line this weekend. I mean, look at that. All teams are now guaranteed some money, but do you think this is going to affect the play of the players?
I think that they understand it's playoffs. They understand there's money on the line. $2,000 for this match alone, with a chance to win even more, up to $5,000 for first place. So that is definitely motivation right there for the players. But ultimately, what I think these players are driven by is not the money, Anna. It's not the money or the fame, although it comes with both. It's the chance at a championship. They want, as you said, to etch their names into Collegiate Chess League history by winning and forever immortalizing their team's name as a champion for this season. So ultimately, that's the prize, but the money helps a little bit.
The money always helps a little bit, Joe, but I agree. I mean, there's a lot of pride on the line, and I do think that that is the biggest thing that they are feeling today. We've seen SLU being the back-to-back winners the past 2 seasons, so it's going to be exciting to see if we can get a new winner this season, especially with so many strong teams now in the playoffs. So, I mean, let's go ahead and check out the teams that played in week number 2 between Webster versus UTRGV. Do you know if there's going to be any changes today, Joe? Or are we going to see the same teams?
Yeah, we are going to see a couple players swapped in and out here and there. Webster definitely has added some talent to their team throughout the season. I see their captains actually in the chat. Shout out to CM Rui. But yeah, right there we see board 4, Anna Sargsyan getting a half point there in overtime, clutching the win for that Webster team. But regular season stakes are a little bit lower. Now with the season on the line, they're going to definitely be swapping in some of their stronger players, and we actually have a look at some of these players tuning in here. So
yeah, let's see them.
Their cameras. And there's actually a fair play check happening right now.
A fair play check. So what exactly are they going through, Joe? What is the process right now?
Well, for the top 3 divisions in the Collegiate Chess League in playoffs, we actually have a fair play proctor joining the Zoom call, and the players are required to have 2 cameras set up as well as sharing their screen. It's very similar to the fair play checks that they do during Title Tuesday, although some certain grand champions would suggest that it's not enough. So if Cramling's tuning in, I'll say that we are doing additional fair play checks for the Collegiate Chess League playoffs. And I know, Anna, you've played in Title Tuesday yourself. Have you ever been screened in a fair play check or no?
I have actually not. Maybe it's because my performances haven't been good enough for them to think that I'm cheating or for them to suspect anything. But one day, Joe, I will have the best performance of my life and everybody will be suspicious. And I am looking forward to that day because that'll mean that I'm playing some amazing chess. So that's honestly a compliment if they think that you're playing really good chess. But with that being said, Joe, let's check out the board assignments. Because we have, like you said, some new players, and one player that stands out is having Benjamin Gledura as board number 1 and Aram Hakobian as board number 2, which seems quite interesting, right? Because Aram Hakobian is rated 3,000, but maybe they think that Benjamin Gledura is a better choice for board 1?
Yeah, Gledura, he's coming in, and Aram Hakobian, we were used to him being top board, leading the team, but this time we have Gledura as number 1, and this is essentially a coach's or a captain's decision. Typically, captains submit their lineup, putting the top board on board 1, and here they're saying Gledura is their stronger player, so Aram might be higher rated in blitz, maybe Gledura higher rated over the board, I'm not sure, but this is the lineup that they submitted. And I think that it's pretty stacked, like definitely an improvement from their regular season. We didn't see Gledura, and we have an all 4 GM squad for Webster, and we see the games are starting. Round 1 underway. We have a D4 opening, Anna.
I am very excited. I want to see this game between Ekin Osenior and Benjamin Gledura because we've seen Osenior also as well doing really well in previous matches. He's been a little bit of the hero for UTRGV in the past. So I'm very excited to see if he can, survive against Webster's number 1 player. That would be crazy.
Yeah, the first rounds always are very exciting because this is the largest mismatch in terms of their player strength, right? This is board 4 versus board 1. This is the only IM in the entire match, Ekin Osenior, who we've interviewed before. As you said, he's been the hero for this UTRGV team. And this UTRGV team, only team to take Webster to overtime. In fact, the only overtime match we've seen all season. It would be the first overtime match in the playoffs so far this season if we went back to it. So do you think we'll see overtime again, or do you think one of the teams is going to take the lead?
I don't know. I want to say that I think Webster is going to take the lead just because they've looked so strong throughout the whole season. And it feels like, UTRGV, they struggled a bit last week against Athens, like you mentioned. So I feel like Webster just looks so strong right now, but I always want to believe that we can get it to overtime because that is the most exciting thing. So I will say that there's a big chance for it.
Yeah, overtime is obviously the most exciting. I will say I filled out my own prediction bracket, and I did have Webster making it to the finals. And you mentioned UTRGV. They looked a little shaky the last 2 weeks, but the good news for them is they got through it, and now they're given an opportunity here to punch their ticket into the finals and win some cash along the way. So this is their chance, and I'm really excited to see if they're able to make anything of it.
And we also want to ask you, all viewers watching this right now, let us know, who do you think is going to win? What do you think is going to happen? Are we going to see Webster winning by a lot? Is it going to go to overtime? Let us know in chat what you think, because yeah, you guys might be the ones that truly know what's about to happen.
So what do you feel? I know you like these d4 openings, but it looks like Osner's stranded with an isolated queen's pawn. Is that pretty normal in these kind of openings?
It is. And it does look maybe a little bit annoying that white has an isolated pawn. But the thing is this, the isolated pawn is actually making white be able to move a lot with their pieces. So that's typically the kind of trade-off. You get a weak pawn, but the position gets more opened up. We see the white's rook on e1, on c1, very active. The bishop on e5, very active. Now we're getting the knight to b5, which is, I mean, there's going to be a piece coming up to d6, maybe c7. I mean, this, I would a million times always take white in this kind of position. Black, what they want to do is probably that they want to try to trade as many pieces as possible and then get into an endgame where they're playing against this isolated pawn, because it's easier to attack an isolated pawn with less pieces on the board. So that is what Benjamin is trying to do. But Joe, even you being an e4 player, don't you feel like this looks very comfortable for white?
Yeah, I would definitely like white. I mean, you can see backwards move from black. This is not a good sign, right? Knight to e8. Although, as you pointed out, black's trying to trade some pieces. But I like to trade these dark square bishops because that's a fianchetto bishop. Our bishop on e5 does look pretty good. But if you drop the bishop back, it becomes more passive, and black's now opening up even more pressure on our isolated pawn. So here, I think probably a trade makes sense. But okay, queen e2, putting more support on the e5 square. And now the knight, we mentioned maybe trying to come into the square. Knight e8 does prevent that. So we see the knight come back. And yeah, players are just kind of in a little bit of a standoff right now.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this move 98, even though it always looks a bit passive to move backwards. Sometimes that's really everything you need to do. You need to move backwards to solidify your position and then be able to push forward. And I feel like that is what Grigoriy was able to do. So it may have looked better for white than what it actually is, because now it's a little bit harder to see how to get in with knight b5. So we'll see here what happens in this game. Maybe we can also check out game number 2. I'm seeing Aram Hakobian versus Sean. And it looks like Sean actually has a really interesting position with the rooks doubled, with the bishop. There's a queen on h6. I mean, what exactly is going on here, Joe?
Yeah, it looks like both sides castled. King side, we have triple up on the e file, but a strong pawn structure for black. So maybe at some point going to play for d4, although it looks like black has this kind of under control for the time being. And we see a king on h2, maybe just extra protecting h3 from any potential sacrifices. A really aggressive queen placement for Aram Hakobian. But this is such a tough matchup. I mentioned Sean Rodriguez Lemieux. He is a GM, just not confirmed officially yet by FIDE. I believe they're doing those reviews like in April or something. But he is a GM. He's earned his title, and he's met all the norms, the requirements. And he's board 3 at 28.92, but he's up against Aram Hakobian. We're used to seeing him on board 1. We're used to seeing him leading the Webster team, and this is a tough matchup in round 1. And I know some people are fans of Texas, some people are fans of Canada. Sean Rodriguez Lemieux is a former world champion. This is definitely a match between two titans, so I'm curious to know which player everyone's rooting for.
Let us know in chat. I was just about to say also, Joe, I really like this idea of knight g3. Just rerouting the knight. I thought we'd see some trades like rook takes rook, maybe queen g4, bringing up the other rook or something like that. But we're seeing here Sean just rerouting his knight, and I really prefer this knight over the knight on c6. So if Sean can find some good squares for that knight, I think that he could try to get some edge. We're seeing here c3 being played. Maybe he wants to play d4 at some point, but obviously he needs to prepare that move as it's not possible. But we're seeing kind of slow moves, but the moment there's a break in this game, things are really going to open up, I think.
Yeah, and you called it slow moves, but now Aram trying to maybe press the matters himself, playing d5, taking the space in the center. And I love the beauty of these two pawns, the flexibility that you could push either one of them. But when you make pawn pushes, you're also conceding certain weaknesses. The queen hops into c5. That wasn't available previously. And now we see black offer a queen trade. We have doubled pawns, but it's supporting the center, making sure e5 is protected. Now the knight is free to move. And now, yeah, with queens off, the kings are trying to enter the position.
Can you play something like, knight f1, knight e3, and just really try to get through those weaknesses? Are we going to send king e6? Is that the idea? But if king e6, maybe there's f4, so maybe you have to play something like knight e7 to defend. But I just want to somehow get some kind of break. But okay, well, we'll let them continue playing. There are 2 more games that are happening right now. Should we maybe see what's going on board number 3 between Harsha Bartakari and Gleb Durin?
Definitely. This is another big name for both these teams, honestly. We've seen Harsha have some awesome results so far in the regular season. And a reminder, Webster already qualified for the semifinals. They had a bye last week. So this is their first ever CCL playoff match that they've ever played. And you said that the players are a little shy, a little timid. Maybe you didn't say they were shy, but they were playing slowly, right? And I think it has to do with a little bit of nerves, right? This is the first round. I think it's going to take them a few rounds before they really get heated up. UTRGV played last week, so maybe they're already a little comfortable. Although actually I heard from their captains that UTRGV, the campus, is going through Wi-Fi issues right now. So their coach actually moved them into what they called the chess office, which most schools probably don't have, but these schools do.
Wow.
So they're prepared for anything right now.
I think every school should have a chess office. I would have done anything to have my school have a chess office. That is the coolest thing I've heard. I mean, if we have any principals of schools watching this right now, this could be a great tip for you. But yeah, that is really cool. I wonder if the chess office will give them a more chess atmosphere that will somehow make them more concentrated or something for their games.
Yeah, we see Gleb Durin. I mean, he's rocking his chess club shirt. I mean, he's ready. He's got a nice, comfy office chair right there. So maybe they should have played more matches from the chess office.
Is that like a leather chair or something? It looks extremely comfy. I would like to have that chair too. Anyways, we're seeing here that it's not only his chair that's comfortable, but his position is comfortable too. He's gotten this really good passed pawn, his c4 pawn. It's a protected passed pawn, which is almost one of the best things you can have in chess, because now with that pawn, all of white's pieces are limited to stopping it. So if white just decides to not care about that pawn and does its own thing, then this c pawn might at some point be able to start pushing and be an extremely potential threat. So it really ties down white's pieces. And that is why that is just such an amazing long-term advantage, especially because it's defended and nobody can really take it away.
Yeah, and also white's pawns doubled and isolated on the A file, and we see immediately black is going to put some pressure there. And yeah, you can tell by the time management as well. Gleb Durin is the comfortable player here, and we see this bishop potentially rerouting to put even more pressure on a4. This knight, probably white's best piece. I'm not sure if we would want to trade it off, but how else are you planning on defending a4?
And what do you even do with your bishop on f1, I feel like, as white? It's really just tied back by so many pawns. Yes, you can go maybe bishop h3 at some point, but that would mean that you'd have to get rid of the black light squared bishop, and then you have to give up your knight, which, like you said, is white's best piece. So I think, yeah, black is just definitely better, even if the eval bar isn't giving so much of an advantage. I feel like with that position and the time especially as well, I think black just practically has a huge advantage in this game.
Yeah, and if Gleb Durin gets a point off of Harsha, this is a really good start for the Texas team. So we see bishop d7, moment of truth. We do see the trade-off, and this is beneficial for black. You just removed white's best piece, that knight on e5, and white's trying to make some complications. There's too much attention on the queen side. White's going to try to stir up some trouble on the king side, but I love that black's just putting in the bishop, and this bishop, as you called it, such a bad piece with the pawn on c4, covering d3. This bishop really has no long-term future.
No, I really like this move. And what I also think is that going for these kind of king attacks, it may look scary, but I do think it's a little bit more of a desperate attempt to create some sort of play here for white in time trouble, which is very normal to do. When you have little time, you just want to do something. But we see now that black is just keeping his cool. He's not really reacting to it too much, and he's just simply letting the position stay. And now how does white continue? Do you go h4 and h5? I mean, then black can even play king g7 and rook h8, and it's actually white's king that is weaker than black's king, I would say. So black just picked up another pawn on A, rerouting his knight. I think this is a really comfortable position for black, and I don't see how white is going to try to stir this up.
Yeah, this is going to look tough for the Webster team, but I kind of want to look at some of the other games. We have time scrambles happening on 2 of the boards, actually. We haven't looked at Viktor Gajic versus Grigoriy Cantor yet, so let's take a quick look at this one. Less than 5 seconds for Viktor. 2 seconds.
Little time. 1 second. He made a move.
He's blundered. 1 second. He's going to flag.
He's going to flag.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he didn't flag. He survived, but he has 3 seconds. I feel like he's going to flag. There we go. There we go.
Oh no, we could see that could be some of that UTRGV internet, maybe increasing some lag. We have a result there. Gladura and Osner drew their game. Back to Duden and Harsha. Harsha's less than 10 seconds.
He has so little time. We do have right now a point for Webster, but let's see if now Duden will be able to regain that back for UTRGV.
So we have a bishop pair versus bishop and knights, and I like the knight better. Like, this position seems pretty closed, and black just has all the space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now the question is, does he trade queens? No, he doesn't, because he's attacking. So there's no point for him to trade a queen. So now we're seeing Harsh is trying to bring up a queen to e8, have some checks, but there's really no checks. Also threatening the pawn on a5. Okay, so now he's giving up the pawn on a5, but gonna trade it for the pawn on d4. Or no, queen b1, pinning the bishop, and now he might be bringing up his queen. Queen f1, can you even stop it? King g2
and the bishop
maybe?
on c3 is hanging.
Yeah,
no,
this is just
this
a piece.
Gonna be mate.
And
wow.
that's it. Resignation on the board. What a beautiful finish. They're not even going for the pawns, but going for the king. Wow.
Oh my gosh, the gloves are off now, Anna.
The gloves are off.
You see some results coming in. Now Sean, less than 2 seconds.
So little time.
He's going to get mated.
Yeah, well, he's going to lose his pawns. There we go. And then he's going to resign after losing his pawns.
Wow.
There it is. Wow. And we see Aram Hakobian there just relieved right after this game. And Webster takes the lead in this first round with 2.5 versus 1.5. But Joe, this is looking closer than maybe what I thought, actually. I am seeing a lot of potential here for this being a really close match.
Yeah, of course. I mean, how lopsided did you think round 1 was going to be?
Well, I mean, I am sometimes a bit biased by the current state of how things are going, and Webster's just been doing so well. I thought UTRGV had a bit of a tough match last week, but UTRGV, surprisingly, they're playing so well.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Ekin Osner, 4th board, getting a draw against Benjamin Gladura.
Yeah. Webster
definitely has some hopes. They had Gleb Duden take down Harsha, so that's a big result. But Aram Hakobi and Grigoriy Cantor coming up big for Webster, giving them 2 points and that first round lead. So they're happy with that first round. We still have 3 rounds to go, so anything can still happen.
Anything can happen, and this is really just the beginning. So once again, we have Osner. He is sometimes always the hero, I feel like. He's been doing so well this season. Definitely such an important board for UTRGV. And getting a draw against such a high-rated player is just amazing. So very excited to see what happens in round number 2. We see now the boards have switched around a little bit. Everyone has a new pairing. And let's see if UTRGV can make a little bit of a comeback and can tie this after this round.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to be playing from behind. We've seen them actually almost blowing their lead. They swept Athens 4-0, and that match ended up coming back by only 1 game. So now they're playing from behind. Maybe that could be something to inspire them to pick it up another gear here in the remaining rounds.
That is something that happens sometimes when people are underdogs. sometimes that kind of, fuels a fire within them to just make a really big comeback. So yeah, that could definitely happen. Now we're seeing here on this board a Nimsu India, and it's what it started as. And I actually play this line, Joe, with Queen C2. So I am very happy. I love Benjamin Gledura's opening. This is amazing. Every game we're seeing with him is an opening that I play. So I'm feeling very happy. So we're seeing Rook B1. I think that he has to play B4 actually at some point, A4 and then B5 and just gain space on the queen side.
Yeah, he played Rook B1, so maybe we'll see B4 right now. And
We might.
He is up a little bit of time. It's exactly what he played. So yeah, he's playing his openings after you, perhaps.
Yes, absolutely, Joe. I am sure that he's taken inspiration from my openings and not the other way around. I'm sure that's how it is. But still very happy.
It wouldn't be the first time that we've seen a GM play an opening that you play. I saw in Reykjavik Open, your first game, you played against your own opening, the cow.
A grandmaster did play the cow opening against me, and I could not believe my eyes. And the worst part of everything is that I didn't know how to face the cow because I've only studied the cow. I haven't studied how to face it. So that is the next thing I guess I will have to do. I also want to give my chat a big shout out because it's actually my partner anniversary today, and I'm seeing lots of people wishing me happy partner anniversary. So thank you so much to everyone that is doing that, and yeah, happy partner anniversary, I guess.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Ulan for the gifted subs, and I see a lot of other subscribers tuning in and sharing the love and support. So we're honored to have you, Anna, back from Reykjavik and sharing your stream anniversary, your partnership anniversary with us on a Collegiate Chess League broadcast. What an honor.
It's not any broadcast. It's the semifinals, Joe. And look at this. This is really exciting because we're seeing now Sean, he's playing H5. Which is just really exciting. I always love when we see some kingside pawn pushes going for H4, going for H3, already signalizing that he's going for the king. But then, what does Gledura do? He replies with E4. So it's kind of this thing where sometimes when someone is playing on one of the sides of the board, you want to play in the center. And so he's kind of bouncing back with this move E4, trying to open up the center and create some threats over there.
Yeah, E4, such a good move from White. Always a good move to try to get in, and that's just going to open up the center. It's going to open up for both bishops. We do see Sean following up with H4, kicking the knight away, and the knight hops in to F5, a really strong place. We see a trade, knight takes. Everything's opening up here for Gledura, and Sean, he's a little bit behind in development. He still has to bring up his bishop. And his king may be going to start feeling a little bit of pressure. We see bishop back to f8. This is a defensive move, and we see the computer hates this backwards move. And why? It wants knight to g5, and apparently, I don't know. It's just maybe attacking f7. Is that the idea?
That's what I was thinking. I mean, you might even be threatening to go knight takes f7 and then queen c4 check, or bishop c4 check. Then the only move being king g6, and there would be a lot of discovery checks. But that actually doesn't happen, and instead bishop g5 is played. But even though White is now winning a pawn, maybe there's a little bit of a slow move because it doesn't have any immediate threat. We do have maybe knight takes f6 at some point or something like that, but the knight and the queen are defending. So as long as black is not getting the double pawns, I think black is fine for now over there.
Yeah. So maybe a missed opportunity from Gledura, the knight g5 tactic. Actually, maybe I go back and show what we could have seen.
Yeah.
With knight g5. So
I got really excited about his sacrifice over there. I want to see if it works.
Let's say bishop b7 and now bishop c4.
Yeah.
How do we defend the pawn? Yeah, I mean, this knight covering this square from the rook. I was thinking maybe putting something on d5, right?
But then Joe, there's bishop takes, knight h6 check, queen h7 checkmate.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. What a find here. That's a forced mate in two.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see the issue is it's just very difficult to defend f7 once the knight gets into g5. So that was perhaps an opportunity missed. And instead, we see bishop to g5. And as you said, it does win a pawn. So white is happy, but maybe could have had some more. Rook is now up to e6, and we see black is able to kind of complete their development and unwind here a little bit.
Yeah, here's the thing. White got a pawn, but now black has a lot of activity. All pieces are stacked on the e file. The knight on e4 is pinned. So yeah, white is happy, but maybe white could have been happier, is a way of maybe putting it.
Yeah, missing their best opportunities, and the computer giving a question mark here. Bishop takes f6, just alleviating pressure, helping this knight perhaps get into the game. But the problem is after knight takes, we're opening up our rook as well. So bishop takes e4. Nice intermezzo here from Sean. Not taking back right away, allowing for this capture, and black would have to take with a pawn here because the rook would be pinned. So bishop takes, a nice in-between move, and only now capturing back on f6. Nice defensive resources here from Sean.
Very, very nice defensive resource here from Sean. I actually don't know how this game is going to go, but let's maybe check out another game. I'm seeing here on board number 2, Aram Hakobian is playing Ekino Senior, who is, like we've said, one of the players that have been creating a lot of surprises for UTRGV, and he's actually having a better position against Aram Hakobian, which is crazy.
I mean, we all know some of these top boards from Webster. They're the heavy hitters. We had Gladura, we have Aram Hakobian, who we're used to seeing on board 1, but put Ekin Oznier's name on the map. He is UTRGV's secret weapon. They're board 4, international master. He drew Gladura in round 1, and now he's taken it to Aram Hakobian here in round 2. So I know we had a lot of predictions for Webster's favor, but did you guys know Oznier was going to bring his A game today?
I don't think they did. Or you know what? I did though, Joe. I want to say that I did because he's done it every single time. But just look at that time too. He has 2 minutes more. He's there sitting, drinking his water, taking a little sip, 2 minutes up, better position. I mean, he's really just killing it right now. And it's amazing to see. So we see bishop f4 being played by Aram now, threatening the knight on d6. But there are some pieces hanging. The bishop on d3 is hanging. What happens if you go bishop takes d3? Then the rook is hanging, but we can also see the rook on f8 hanging after a few trades on d6. So what exactly is happening, Joe, actually?
Crazy position right now. I'm wondering if we're even going to see maybe a rook sacrifice. Queen takes and then bishop takes, but rook to d1 and white gets the piece back. So very complicated position. And as you called it, Oznier has a ton of time. We do see this and not rook d1, but queen to f3, eyeing the rook and a fork. So yeah, if you take the rook on f1, you're going to lose this rook and force some more trades. And this pawn is such an annoying piece. So Oznier, we were hyping him up a little bit. We might have cursed him because he just played the move that I suggested, and that was not good.
Joe, why do we always do this? We always end up jinxing them. Yeah, this is just actually material that's going to be falling, right? I don't see how you can defend both pieces at the same time. So we see a rook f8, but queen takes d3. And now this is just material advantage. It's just an exchange up for white for pretty much nothing, I would say.
Yeah, when he built up that time advantage, he really needed to spend that time to really navigate the tricky waters of the position, and definitely had a lot of potential there and missed an opportunity. Maybe we actually go back and look at what should have been played instead of my poor recommendation. Rook takes f4 blunder. The best move is to take on d3, and then after queen takes d6, there's the queen trade, and now here it wants rook f6. You're going to be picking up some material. This pawn is hit twice. The rook is hit here. So Oznier missed the opportunity, went for the exchange sacrifice, and now he's unfortunately down in exchange.
And this actually, right now, we saw in the beginning that Webster had a big advantage in the polls, but actually now people are kind of changing a little bit, and they actually think that there's I mean, it's still Webster's favor. 55% think that Webster are going to be the finalist, but there's more people voting for UTRGV after seeing the beginning of this match. So it's really fun to see how kind of the opinion has turned a little bit. But this game is definitely looking very favorable for Webster. Let's maybe check out board number 3. We have Victor Gosick versus Harsha over there, and they're starting to get into time trouble.
Yeah, Harsha Baradakoti, we've seen his name a couple of times. He is under 30 seconds. Victor Gajic, I think, was he the player that flagged in that first round? So maybe he needs to pick up a little bit of the speed here.
He decided not to flag anymore, and he has 40 seconds more than Harsha. So we're seeing now Queen B6 being the last move, and I'm seeing a pawn here on D5 that's looking maybe a little bit weak for white, but actually maybe after you push it to D6, it's going to be hard for black to attack it. And also, look at that king on G8 and the rook on H8. I mean, you kind of wish that you could do a little fake castles, like have the rook jump over the king somehow.
Yeah, maybe like in a 960 position you could do that. But yeah, rook on h8, definitely an entombed piece here. Yeah, not usual to have a king on g8 and a rook on h8 still. Usually the rook, as you called it, is castled on the other side. But we see a queen trade offered and declined. Queen comes back to d3, and now we see pawn push. I'm assuming the king wants to come up. Yeah, we see g6. So bishop pair for white. Pass pawn on d5, but the pawn's kind of keeping it at bay. We see a potential for en passant, but white will take back. So we have a connected pass pawn. I think long-term advantage is good for white, but the computer disagrees with me, probably because black has an extra piece. So.
Yes. I guess that is the one thing that we've been missing all along. But Joe, one of the reasons I've missed it is actually because I've been looking at my screen with big eyes, because actually Sean Rodriguez just beat Benjamin Gledora with the black pieces. Isn't that absolutely insane?
I mean, I'm not shocked. Sean Rodriguez Lemieux is a great player. Gledora, we mentioned, is a sub for the most part. He's added onto the season midway through, so maybe a little rusty, and put him on board 1. Maybe he's feeling the pressure. He only had a half point against the bottom 2 boards from UTRGV.
Yeah. So far, not a great start for Gledora. We'll see if he's able to make a comeback later on, but an amazing performance by Sean there. UTRGV's board number 3 beating Webster's board 1, which is absolutely amazing. Let's check out maybe also the final game that we haven't seen between Grigoriy Kantor and Gleb Durin. Because this position, even though the eval bar is saying that it's very equal, we see that Gleb only has 4 seconds left on the clock. Look at that. Yeah,
and look at this pawn on g7.
Pawn on g7, tying down the king. Bishop on f6. Nobody's kicking away that bishop. Rook is under attack. Do you play rook e8? Yes, you do. But can you maybe play g3 at some point to get the knight off the board? Looking a little bit scary. Maybe you have to play knight h5 to attack the bishop. There we go. But definitely looking a bit scary. Now a few pawns are going to fall, but finally the g7 pawn is taken too. And well, it'll end up being an equal pawn endgame, even though it looked like there was a lot of action going on there.
Yeah, the dust has kind of settled here. Now it's kind of even. So they really got through that tricky part of the game. But I want to quickly take us to Harsha versus Victor Gajic. Victor Gajic, he flagged in the last round. Is he going to flag again? He's got 3 seconds.
He has
so does Harsha. Move. Oh my God.
Rook check.
Harsha's got all these pawns though.
Look at the king. The king is fearless. The king is not going anywhere. This is insane.
He's gonna be afraid of these queens once they get on the board.
Can you go bishop f5? I mean, what is even happening? No, you don't. You just push b2 and you cannot stop the pawn. And there it is. Wow. That was insane. And wow.
We see the eval bars hopping all over the place.
This eval bar is not normal right now. How do you
stop the g-pawn? This is just a draw, but there was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, so you go rook d3, so that if the pawn push, there's a check, and you win the pawn. So we're seeing here rook h5, and I mean, now maybe you just have to take. But we're seeing that Aram does not want to take, obviously, because he can always stop that g-pawn. So he's trying to push for the win. 2 seconds. Bring up the king.
This is just a draw. I want to quickly look back. The eval bar spiked just a moment ago.
It did, and now they're just gonna... trade.
So they draw, yeah, with the trade. But let's look at right here. King f5 is a big blunder, allowing rook to d5 check, and the pawn preventing the king from going back onto the g file. And then our pawn would run. So that was a missed opportunity. Instead, we saw the pawn push, and now the king makes its way to g6. So the check, while the pawn was on h5, was really important there for white.
Yeah, instead of pushing it. And I mean, this has been an amazing round, but this has been a good round for UTRGV. I mean, they tied now, so we're still only 1 point away. They're only 1 point behind Webster. This can go any way, I feel like, Joe. We have 2 more rounds to go, but this can really go any way. Do you see the tiebreak chances?
Oh, I mean, of course. You lost the first round by 1 point, but they just tied that second round. So they have all the momentum going into the second half, where they're going to have to erase that 1 point deficit somehow. But Webster, they're still ahead and they're feeling comfortable. I think that they'll probably be able to hold on. But UTRGV, they still have their own destiny in their own hands.
They definitely do, and I'm very excited to see what happens in round 3 and 4. It's going to be super close, but I think we're going to be seeing some amazing matches. Now, before that, don't miss Grigoriy Chess returning to your screen for the first time since 2019. This year boasts a superstar lineup, but no doubt the match we're most eagerly awaiting is Magnus Carlsen versus FIDE World Champion Ding Liren. The action begins March 26th, streaming on our Chess24 channels. Use !Grigoriy in chat for more. Who will book their spot in the CCL final? Don't go anywhere, we'll find out after the break.
Ever since the chess engine Deep Blue defeated world champion Garry Kasparov in 1997, computers have been better at chess than even the best humans. Today, the margin isn't even close. Top engines play near-perfect chess, and playing against them is basically futile. But every now and again, there's a chess puzzle that stumps the engines, and us humans can solve it faster. Let's take a look at our first puzzle. So when we initially look here, the engine, as you can see, still thinks it's a draw. But if left for long enough, eventually it might find the mate in 8 sequence. So let's look at the first most intuitive sacrifice, maybe bishop f7. But then after the king takes back, queen follows up with queen h5, king g7. There's no real follow-up. There's no continued attack for white. So if we go back to the initial position, let's try that. Well, I already gave it away. Let's try that in a different move order, where instead of the bishop coming in first, we sacrifice the queen. As humans, of course, we love to sacrifice our queen. It just feels so good. And the king takes, and now we do the bishop check, and you'll see that this critical g6 square is cut off. So the best try for black is to go down here to king h8, and then we have a very quiet but deadly move. So we can bring in knight d2. Not attacking right away, but is preparing knight f3, which, as you can see, would lead to checkmate. What black can do is try to delay this, maybe by pinning. We can just push here, takes, and now black can only delay the inevitable. They can try f4 here to try to give themselves an escape square, but we just go knight f3 all the same, king g4, and now we have the pièce de résistance, a quiet, subtle e4. Now they have no more moves. No matter what black plays, we have checkmate on the next move. Ooh, how satisfying is that?
What does it mean to be a woman in chess?
It means to be brave.
Challenge.
Powerful.
Empowering. Special.
It feels great to be a woman in chess.
I am proud to be a woman in chess, and I don't really think about it too much.
It doesn't feel anything so different. I mean, it's normal, and I'm fighting it out over the board.
Be a woman in chess, for me, is simply just to be a woman who loves chess.
I play chess.
One pawn, 5 suspects. Bring your deductive skills to the chessboard this March and help solve the mystery. Was it the movie star, Tina Tempo? The heiress, Beatrice Bishop? The Green Pawns coach, Remy Rook? Tournament organizer, Madame Mate, perhaps? Or the arbiter, Professor Passon? Play them all, gather the clues, and find out who done it on Chess.com.
I'd classify trading as a game, really, that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the semifinals of the 2024 Collegiate Chess League spring season presented by SIG. Right now, you're watching Webster University versus University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, but be sure to stick around. Coming up, we have St. Louis University taking on the University of Missouri, so don't go anywhere. Joe, we've had a fantastic start to the semifinals, two really exciting rounds that have been very close. And now we have 2 rounds to go. UTRGV is behind by 1 point, and we need to see if they're able to get that back and make a comeback. Do you think we're going to see that, Joe?
Anything's possible, Anna. I think UTRGV is in a great spot, only down by 1 point, 2 rounds remaining. Their board's 3 and 4. They just took down Glodura, the top board from Webster. Osner getting a draw, and then Sean Rodriguez Lemieux getting a win. And I think that's really impressive that Webster's still ahead by 1 with their top board, not even getting a win yet against the bottom 2 boards from Texas. So UTRGV, they're definitely very much in this match. It's still anyone's game. Webster's going to have to not only pick it up on their top boards, but they're going to have to hold on to this. And maybe they're going to add on to it their lead and punch their ticket into the finals for the first time ever. So I think they're out of the first game jitters of the playoffs, and they're ready to go.
Absolutely. And we need to remind everyone of that we actually have a finals ticket on the line right now. The winner of this match will be going to the finals. So this is a very important match. Both teams really want to go to the finals, and obviously there's also $2,000 guaranteed then. So there's some prize money over that too. But you know what I'm excited about? I'm excited to see Ekin Osner and Sean Rodriguez playing against the lower boards of Webster to see what happens there, because we've seen them playing against the higher boards, and we've seen them playing really well against the higher boards. But what happens when they play the lower boards? Is it going to go as well? Or are they just going to beat them? What's going to happen? That's what I'm excited to see now.
Yeah, I definitely think all eyes are on Texas because they have a lot to prove. A lot of doubters, perhaps, after their last week's performance against Athens. Some even saying Athens could have been in this spot against Webster. But either way, the players are back for round 3. They're ready to go. And I think both teams have a lot to prove. UTRGV, they've made it to the finals and they've won a championship back in season 4. Webster, first time in the playoffs, first match ever in the playoffs, actually. And it's going to be really interesting to see if they're able to deal with the pressure from this. And honestly, I think that they're doing well. Glodura may be the most shaky of the 4 Webster players we've seen so far, and he's playing right now against Gleb Duden. So we'll see if his second half is going to be a better performance than his first.
Yeah, hopefully during the break he was able to kind of come back a little bit, and hopefully we do see a comeback here. He's playing kind of King's Indian, Bishop G4 now, kind of delaying Knight F6, but that is the sort of position that we're seeing. And I just love how Gleb did it, and he's sitting there in his leather chair, just, you know, all kind of back.
He's
just
so leaned back.
He's so leaned back, and he looks like he has got everything under control. I would fear Gleb Duden right now if I was facing him.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, I mean, I can't even tell that he's at a computer. Like he could probably fall asleep in that position, like his hands barely on a mouse. Like I saw they had a chess game played through Neuralink. Like maybe that's what's going on with him right now. I don't know.
I don't even know what's going on, but he seems to be having a good time, so I'm happy about that. So we're seeing now Knight C6 once again. Black is delaying Knight F6 with the idea of hitting that D4 pawn. So the bishop and the knight are targeting the D4 pawn, and the bishop on G4 is pinning White's knight on F3, which means that the knight is not protecting that pawn anymore so much. So we see now Knight C3. The question is, what happens if bishop takes knight? Are you going to take with the queen? I mean, if you might take with the pawn, but then you're going to get the double pawns, and that is what happens.
Yeah, so if you took with the queen, then the D pawn will fall. So we see G takes F3, and the computer surprisingly actually likes this. It's a little counterintuitive. We always teach, you know, double pawns are bad, especially like where the king wants to go. But I guess what we're going to do, maybe we use the king side to attack and can castle. But here we see a trade in the center, allowing for the queens to come off. And when the queens are traded, then your king safety is less important because it's harder to attack a king without the queen. So even if White doesn't castle, if White trades queens right now, the board is a lot safer with these doubled F pawns. So we'll see if Duden goes for that.
Yeah, this looks very comfortable for White, I would say. And knight coming up to D5, targeting C7 at some point, maybe after trading queens. The rook on the D file. White's bishop maybe going on H3. I mean, that after the trade of queens, knight D5, you couldn't go rook C8 because there's bishop H3. So we see now queen A4, though, instead of a trade of queens, opening up for the rook to come into D1 instead, I would suppose. But yeah, I mean, I guess the engine maybe didn't like this so much, maybe because at some point you can try to play knight d4 as black, although queen a4 actually stops that move right now.
Yeah, queen a4 pins the knights. The computer is calling for knight to f6 just to make sure that this knight can be contested once it hops in, although you wouldn't want to take, as a capture would take advantage of a pinned knight here. So knight f6, maybe just trying to get castled, try to get out of this pin.
Yeah, but I feel like the ideas behind queen a4 make a lot of sense. You're pinning the knight, stopping it to go to d4. You're opening up for rook d1. If queen d7, you can maybe play h4 and bishop h3. So it's kind of uncomfortable here for black. Queen e7 doesn't really work because knight d5. So yeah, I think practically this looks slightly uncomfortable for black, and I would feel like I was in a worse position. At least in my knowledge, you know, it would feel very, very cramped here as black.
Yeah, so the computer wanted the queen trade and to play in that endgame, although that's not very natural, right? To have perhaps arguably the worst pawn structure to do that. So, and I love to attack with the queens on. I don't like queen trades. So queen a4, very, very normal. And now I think rook d1 is a very solid choice. I think knight d5 is a very solid choice. I think black pretty much just wants to get castled. So rook d1 comes with the tempo on the queen, preventing black from castling for another move. What about this bishop c5 idea? Does that seem like it's annoying?
Ooh, I like it with the idea maybe that if knight d7, you can go bishop a3 and just be super annoying. And then maybe there is knight e7, but maybe then you can play knight d5 and just really be annoying. Okay, we see rook d1. Maybe we will see... Can we see bishop c5 now? Maybe?
Yeah, these are all possible moves. So Gleb Duden, he moves the rook to d1. So there's no queenside castling. And kingside castling still possible, but maybe questionable. I do think bishop c5 is pretty annoying. We might see black have to go bishop to f8, and then neither side's really going to be castling. So yeah, really, really interesting opening on this board. Maybe we take a look at some of the other boards.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. We can check out game number 2 between Viktor Gosik and Aram Hakobian, because it is looking like, I mean, quite an interesting position. There's been a little bit of a rook left, rook c5, and this rook maybe will be able to go, I'm thinking rook h5 spontaneously, with the idea of going bishop e5 and then trying to take on h2. So it feels like there's some sort of attack. We're seeing now white playing e5, maybe blocking those ideas, but now opening up also the e4 square for the knight to come in. So it's looking like a very natural move to do that.
Yeah, e5 just blocking these black pieces. You mentioned rook h5, bishop to e5, a lot of coordination on h2. This pawn push e5 just shuts all of that down, and it creates a new space, a spot for all of white's pieces, really. All of them could go to e4. We see queen putting more pressure on the pawn, knight to f3 defending this pawn, and now bishop d5, pressure on the knight, trying to remove a defender. We might see bishop to e4 just to block that, but once you trade, queen takes. I mean, the rook is opened up again. Lots of pressure on c2. I'm starting to like Aram's position, actually.
Me too. I mean, he has a very clear plan. He's going for the pawns. He's going for the e5 pawn. He's going for the c2 pawn. He's going to move all his pieces to try to get those pawns. So I think his plan is very simple. And Viktor Gosik has definitely some questions he needs to answer. I mean, I'm even wondering if you can at some point play f6 as black, just because the pawn is pinned, and try to go for that. Although now obviously the rook is hanging, so maybe rook c3 is a good idea.
Yeah, computer's calling for rook c3. This is going to alleviate pressure on e5. And the d pawn is also technically hanging, but bishop takes on f3 is a big threat, right? So, and if we have to take with our pawn, then our king becomes even weaker. But yeah, b4, complicating things. Viktor Gosik still holding on to the e pawn, but Aram's definitely got, I think, a more solid structure.
Let's maybe also check out some of the other games, because I'm seeing on board number 4, actually, between Grigoriy Oparin and Jean-Rodrigue Lemieux, I'm seeing a king on e7. And this is maybe fine because it is an endgame, but it just caught my eye that we had a king almost in the middle right now and a pair of double rooks.
Yeah, the kings were on e2 and e7. Maybe this came out of a bomb cloud, do you think, Anna?
I will love to see if that was the case, but I don't think so, Joe. I mean, you have the game, so you can check that out. But yeah, I'm actually just immediately wondering if you can play this move g4 now as black. It's white to move, though, but g4 is the move that I'm kind of looking at for black, because you cannot play f4. And if black is able to trade these pawns, then maybe this f3 pawn will become a bit of a weakness, and the g file will be open for black to play on. So we're seeing now immediately rook d6 targeting this pawn on h6. Maybe you can play h5. Maybe h5 is what you have to do, but it is definitely creating some problems for black that white's rooks are so active.
Yeah, let's take a quick look. We have maybe put to some rest the suspicions of any bomb cloud openings, but how did the kings get up there? So it's a queen's gambit declined. Another d4 opening. Anna, I feel like the players knew that you'd be back this week.
I am so happy. I've studied this for black. This is, I believe, a Rogozin is the name of the variation. I actually used to play this in the past a little bit with black. So yeah, I'm very happy about this. They can please keep on playing d4. No bomb clouds, no nothing. d4, amazing.
Yeah, so we just saw a queen trade, and that's why the kings felt comfortable going to e2 and e7. This king maybe dodging a check and going to f8 and then e7. So yeah, when the queens are off the board, the kings kind of become different pieces, right? When the queens are on, the kings are very scared. They want to go to the corner and just tuck themselves away. But once the queens are off, the kings can come out of their shell and try to utilize their strength in the center of the board. So yeah, just a little insight on some king behavior.
Yes, very good insight on king behavior. No, but that is very true. The moment the queens are off the board, the kings are brave, and the kings should be brave then, because there's not really any very scary piece that can attack them, to put it that way. So yeah, kings definitely want to be active in games, and the more active your king is, as long as it's not getting checkmated, the better, because you're playing with another piece. So that's why we're seeing them trying to activate their kings. So I mean, it's looking relatively equal, but at some point, if we see maybe black playing h3, I still kind of like black's chances, but I suppose maybe g3 and f4 will be the ideas for white in that position, and black will try to stop it.
Oh my gosh, Anna, we just missed a result here. Ekin Osner, the hero of board 4 from Texas, just took down Harsha Bradikati, and that ties the match.
That ties the match. He's so happy. He's going up, and we see Harsha just looking pretty devastated right now, which, you know, obviously makes a lot of sense. Can we see what happened over there, the last few moves? How did this go?
I'm going way back here. I mean, we have Harsha with the white pieces, trading queens off, and here we have a double question mark blunder, dropping a pawn, and now this whole game is just Osner converting that pawn advantage, winning another pawn. He's got all these passed pawns, and we just see resignation from Harsha. And yeah, Osner's not even there. He's celebrating, and there's Harsha just devastated.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, I wonder why he decided to give up that pawn, if it was because he thought that was the way of being able to block somehow with knight c3. But yeah, definitely looks very devastated, and Osner looks quite happy with a little smile on his face. He definitely has been, you know, one of the heroes of this match, but also just in general for UTRGV. What a story it's been with him. So I'm happy to see him playing so well today.
Yeah, Lemieux and Cantor just drew, and we have a result. Gladura goes down again.
Wow, this is incredible. Gleb Durin beating Gladura. What? We have one more game to go here between Viktor Gosic and Aram Hakobian.
Oh
1 second.
Gosic flags again, I swear. And that would give the lead. That would bring us to a tied match going to the 4th round.
That would, yeah, it would. It definitely would. Are we saying queen g3? No, bishop. Okay, kind of moving back and forth. He needs to play moves.
Gosic is up a pawn, but it's opposite colored bishops. Oh my god, Gosic's gonna flag. I just know it.
I am so scared. And the thing is that with opposite colored bishops, it's so good for black that he's the black is attacking. It's so much easier to attack with different colored bishops. So we see now the attack being so strong, and just white's king being so vulnerable right now.
Yeah, and these extra pawns, they're not doing anything. They're blockaded by that dark square bishop. So we see maybe a rook trade.
We're seeing at least Viktor Gosic really trying to trade.
Watch out! He blunder made one.
Queen g1. Wow.
Aram ties it up. Yeah, I definitely saw the rook trade, but then I saw queen to d4. What a sneaky trick from Aram Hakobian, and what looks like a dead even position, opposite color bishops. This one last trick up his sleeve, rook trade, and well, it didn't come with a check, and queen g1 now. Sneaky mate.
And that is what happens when you're in crazy time trouble. You just want to trade everything. That's what Gosic wanted to do. He just wanted to trade everything, save a draw, keep the lead for Texas. But no, there was that really sneaky checkmate. That was just a beautiful, beautiful trick for Aram. Can we see, Joe, what would have happened if he just would have played something else? How could the game have continued?
Well, they were just absolutely shuffling left and right all over the place, trying to see if they can make some sort of break. And this is where we see the trap set from Aram Hakobian, getting the queen out of danger, but the queen is the danger. After the rook trade, the queen comes in for mate. Instead, what we could have seen was a move maybe like queen to d3, just staying along the diagonal, defending everything. If rook takes with check, the queen can come back, and we're still defending all of our pieces. So definitely could have kept shuffling. Instead, trying to simplify, and that's what did Viktor Gosic in. And the match is tied, Anna.
It is. It is 6-6. There's only one round to go. This is as close as it can be. And I am so excited to see what happens here. And also just wondering what is happening with Benjamin Gledura. Of course, he hasn't had a good match so far. If Webster just, gets him to score points, then that's going to change also the score of this match, obviously. So we're going to see what happens over there. But yeah, what an amazing round for Ekin Osner and also Gleb Durin.
Yeah, Osner and Duden, they are leading the way. Viktor Gajic 0 for 3. And yet the match is still tied because Gledura is only at a half point out of 3. So we see maybe that's going to be the key matchup in the round 4, Gajic versus Gledura, because neither of them have gotten a point yet. So it all comes down to these last 4 games, Anna. And if they tie it, we're going to see another overtime.
That is the thing. We are going to have a winner. We are going to have a finalist. So we are not letting anybody go here. We are going to get a winner. So yeah, this is going to be going to tie breaks if they tie now, and that's going to be extremely exciting. I can feel the nerves being up the roof for everybody here. This could be the last round for them, at least in the hopes of winning the whole championship, the whole league. So you can definitely see the nerves, and some players like Viktor Gajic are right now looking quite sad. Harsha as well is looking a bit sad. So we'll see if they're able to, just come back in this next game, because that's going to be really important, especially for Viktor Gajic as he's facing Benjamin Gledura.
Yeah, Gajic looks defeated there, but this is no time to be sad, Anna.
No.
They're still in the match. It is tied. They could still win it. In fact, this is their best opportunity to win it because they just came back from being down. And now we have round 4 underway, starting with the 2 board 1s, who are ironically the 2 lowest point scorers for both of these teams. So this is a key moment for both of these players. This is do or die. They might have started rough, right? But it's not how you start, Anna. It's how you finish. And this could be the ticket to the finals.
This game could be the ticket to the finals. Absolutely. So you're absolutely right, Joe. It's how you finish. And I cannot believe that we are almost having a replay of that round number 2 or week 2 match that we had between Webster and UTRGV. It's very exciting to see. So we're seeing here another Nimzo Indian. I feel like there's been a lot of Nimzo Indians in this match on board number 1. And I think it looks quite comfortable for white. We're seeing now knight c6 being played. Question then becomes, do you ever play d5? Do you keep it there? And we're seeing now a bit of a trade of pawns. The idea now is that if pawn takes d4 and you trade pawns, if knight takes d4, there's bishop takes h7 check, which would be winning the pawn back. So white is not blundering a pawn right now.
Yeah, really nice defensive resource here. This pawn is attacked a lot, only defended by the pawn, but tactically defended by discovery from this queen. So we see the knight recapture, keeping the pawns not doubled and maintaining that flexibility. And now Gajic, he's 27.99. He's a discount 2,800. Do you think he can break 2,800 here, or do you think he even cares about the rating right now?
I think it's everything for his team right now. I don't think he cares too much about his rating. Although, obviously, I mean, he is a 2,800 player. All these players are extremely strong. But now it's literally do or die for his team, I think. So, yeah, we saw him playing h6, avoiding this line, bishop c2. I think we're going to see white lining up with the queen and the bishop, creating a kind of battery. a5, trying to take a little bit of space on the queen side. Maybe we'll see b6 and the bishop moving up, or we'll see the bishop going somewhere else. I mean, bishop g4 could also be maybe an option, and bishop h5. So we'll see here a little bit what happens. We can maybe move to one of the other games as well, board number 2 between Aram Hakobian and Gleb Durin, to see how they are doing. Because look at that knight, Joe. Look at that knight on e5. Is that not a beautiful knight?
That is a beautiful knight, but this is not a beautiful move from Aram Hakobian. Queen c2, just allowing black's knight to hop in b4. That's a fork. You're going to have to give up the bishop pair, but not just that. Your queen's going back where it started, and you're losing the good bishop. You're left with a bishop on dark squares, and, well, there's not a lot of dark squares that your bishop can go to. So really nice opportunity here from Gleb Duden, who's been leading this Texas team, and he could take down Aram Hakobian. He's been the leader. So really good night here, but yeah, unfortunate moves from Aram to give up that awesome bishop on d3.
Can I just say, why is Gleb Duden the only one with the leather chair? I mean, aren't they all in the chess office? I'm not seeing the other ones with the leather chair. I think that leather chair is doing some magic for Gleb Duden, although he's obviously playing some amazing chess. But yeah, he's had an amazing round so far. And we're going to see if he's able to take down Aram Hakobian. That would be crazy.
I think in Texas, I guess the chairs go to the top scorers. So Gleb Duden, he's getting the point. I mean, one could argue he's getting the points because of the chair. Like, I'm not sure.
Which way it is?
It's a good question. Maybe if they all had the chair, this would just be a blowout.
I mean, that is what I'm wondering. But we're seeing here, Rook D1 being the last move. And like you said, Joe, the bishop on C1, what do you typically call them? You call them pawns with a hat, right? When the bishop is just as bad as a pawn. I've started using that saying myself because I feel like it's such a good saying. But that is what that bishop is looking like. It's a pawn with a hat. It's not really doing anything a bishop should do. It's just there.
I've heard them be called tall pawns.
Oh, that's the one.
Oh, is that the? I mean, I haven't heard of bishops with hats, right? Or did you say
said this? Haven't you said this?
Wait. Maybe.
I will go back in time and look at previous broadcasts.
Just gonna keep you to it. Yeah, that's funny though. I mean, maybe.
I think so.
I call a lot of pieces a lot of weird things, to be honest. I mean, another favorite is calling knights horses or ponies. You know, that's a classic.
Let us know in chat your favorite ways of calling pieces too. But I mean, look at this. This is becoming a pawn avalanche over here. B5 and now A5. There we go. Nobody cares. A5, B4.
Nobody cares.
No, but I mean, he's just pushing the pawns on the queen side. That is what he's doing. And what is White going to do to stop it? You cannot stop it. That's the thing. If you push the B pawn, passant. I mean, there's really not much to do, or you just get a pass pawn that's protected, which is even worse than en passant. So yeah, this is just a fantastic position for Black.
Man, I can't really count Aram Hakobian out, because especially after that last round that we saw him squeeze out a checkmate from thin air. But Gleb Duden absolutely leaned back in the most comfortable state possible, barely even sweating, no pressure. The dude's 2.5 out of 3, hasn't lost a single game, and now he's playing against Aram Hakobian. I mean, I don't know if Aram gets nervous or scared at all, but if I was in his position, especially in this position, I would definitely feel a little nervous or scared.
I agree. We will see what happens in this game. Let's check out what's going on in board number 3, because I'm seeing Harsha actually having quite a nice position versus Sean Rodrigo Lemieux. So let's see what is happening over here. Beautiful knight on d5, a pretty pushed pawn on d4. We're seeing also the e pawn joining. Maybe we even see at some point f5 and e4. I mean, who knows?
I would love to see that from Harsha, but we see c3. White's trying to break down this strong center from Black. Yeah, I mean, this is a good position for Harsha. We saw Gleb Duden with a good position for Texas on board 1, and the other boards, I mean, we haven't looked at them yet, but Anna, we're kind of shaping up for an overtime round. How exciting would that be?
I would be so excited seeing a little bit of faster chess, seeing everything on the line, and just really seeing the players playing with, honestly, the most stress that they could almost play, because it would be everything on the line. So I'm really excited to see something like that. I hope we do, but let's see what happens in this round first. All the games are looking very exciting, and they're looking very decisive too. It almost looks like no game is going to be a draw, which is quite insane if that's the case.
Yeah, this position, I'm starting to like Sean's time management. Only 1:15 for Harsha. So Sean Rodrigo Lemieux, even though he's board 3, he is definitely a big name for this Texas team. And we see him capturing in the center. Black's going to have to take back. Maybe going to be stranded with an isolated pawn. So this is going to be tough for Harsha. I was liking Black, but now after this last trade, I think that, looking at the clock, mainly Sean, I think, is going to push this.
No, I agree. It's starting to turn for me too. And I just want to remind everyone the fact that these two teams went to tie breaks last time they played on week 2 of the CCL. So this could be a replay of that week 2 if we would get this to tiebreakers. So I never thought we would see the replay of that happening, but it very much might happen. So yeah, let's see what happens in this game. Knight h4 is the last move. Knight f5, this is looking better and better for Sean, Joe. I agree with you.
Yeah, just the time management's so tough. This knight maybe going to catch the bishop if it goes back. A rook lift from Harsha, a question mark move, but this bishop maybe being x-rayed a little bit. I have to take us back to this game. Gleb Dudin, he's under a minute, but he's absolutely crushing Aram Hakobian. Remember Aram in his first interview saying that their team is the favorite. If he loses this game and his team doesn't make it to the finals, that is so much pressure on him to really succeed. And it's coming down to Gleb Dudin, who's nodding his head right now. The guy is in the zone. Look at him. He's shaking his head.
What is he doing?
He's taking a sip. Maybe he's feeling so much excitement about the prospect of winning and taking down Aram Hakobian and taking his team to the finals.
He's realizing that he can do it. And yeah, he has it in his hands. And it's just so exciting to see him being exactly in his zone. He looks like he's completely in his zone. And he's just, giving it his everything. So bishop d6 is the last move. He's calculating. I am scared for his time. And also Aram Hakobian, he's amazing at doing some late game swindles where one position looks like it's a certain way, but then he just tricks his opponent. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. There's definitely chances for Hakobian to come back, and 20 seconds for Dudin. I'm starting to get scared for him, but he doesn't look scared at all, Joe.
Oh my gosh, he is starting to lean forward a bit. He was looking so comfortable, but with the eval bar in his favor, his clock is in the other direction. He's down a lot of time, and that's Aram's chance to come back.
That is his one chance, honestly, with this position. Knight d6, threatening the queen. The queen comes up to g6, threatening g2. There's ideas if the knight moves. Knight f3 check at some point. You got to calculate it. But there's problems that there's 97 check over here too, so you don't really have time. Maybe you have to move the king, but then there's 97 anyways. So
oh my gosh,
this is so difficult. This is such a good move with little time trouble to do for Aram. 4 seconds.
Wow, trades off the knight.
Just as panic.
That's a fork. Queen's defending the bishop.
And now Aram is doing Aram things.
Wow, Aram, the eval swings back in his favor. Gleb Dudin. Oh my goodness. What's happening? Rook in?
Rook in. Knight f5.
Check. No, this is it.
It's over. It's over. Wow. He gets the win.
Goodness.
What an important win.
Oh, look at how defeated he looks. That is so unfortunate.
It really
the chair
is.
let him down this game.
No, it did, and it's so unfortunate because I'm sure he knows that he had such a better position, but it was just the time that led him to making some wrong decisions there when it became really complicated. But big props to Aram Hakobian for being able to find such tricky moves and playing against Gleb Dudin's time, which was exactly the right practical decision to do there. So that is also skill in itself, and big props to him for that, but definitely very unfortunate for Gleb Dudin.
That one game could determine this whole match because Anna, it was tied. Webster was up by 1. UTRGV fought and climbed their way back in it. They're setting themselves up for round 4 victory. But unfortunately, when it comes down to it, we see why Webster's the favorite. Webster won in the regular season. Webster is the stronger team, the higher seed. And when the matters most, they've shone through, getting clutch wins. First off, from Aram Hakobian being down, we see a draw between Victor, Gajic, and Gladura. And now we have 2 games left. Webster is a point away from victory. 1 win, 1 point from any Webster team, and they'll have clinched their spot in the finals.
They will. And they actually have 2 really good positions right now. So it's looking like they're going to get it, but obviously we never know. But they just need 1 win and they're going to the finals. It's their golden ticket to the finals. Knight of 3 check. That white king is looking so weak right now. We've seen Ozdemir. He's been the champion throughout this whole match pretty much for UTRGV. But now his position is not as good. There's knight takes e3. Is that true, Joe?
That's what the computer's calling for. I don't know how it works. Knight e3, pawn take. And he trades queens.
Okay. Now he does it. He does it a move later. So he does find the idea.
He still gets the double exclam.
He still gets the brilliant for that. That is insane. That is beautiful. That is just beautiful. And now knight d1 maybe, or f2 check. And then if king takes knight d1,
he's got
fork,
knight d1.
it's over. They're going to the finals. They're going to the finals, Joe. It's over.
Wow.
There it is.
Cantor wins.
There it is. The winning game that takes them to the finals. At least the making it official.
That is wild. In the last round, the top 2 boards from Texas, Duden and Ozdemir, they get beat by their respective boards on the Webster team. And for the first time in Collegiate Chess League history, Webster punches their ticket to the finals, where they're going to wait to see who they're going to play against, either SLU or Mizzou. And we're going to find out in the match after this.
We're going to be having another very exciting match. But yeah, this has been a nail biter all the way. I honestly had no idea if it was going to be Texas that was going to win, if it was going to be Webster. I thought it was going to be tiebreakers for a long time. So this has been a nail biter all the way. But here, Harsha Bratzakati wins as well for Webster. And Webster ends up winning with 9.5 points. And there we have him, just determined, happy, did his job.
I mean, frankly, not a lot of emotion from Harsha. He's just gotten the job done. I mean, yeah, Aram Hakobian with that clutch win against Duden, who looked just unbeatable. And there he goes, camera off. Job is done for this Webster team, and they are going to have all eyes on SLU versus Mizzou after this to see who they have to beat to get their first championship in the Collegiate Chess League.
What an exciting match it has been. And just, the fact that Aram Hakobian said in week number 1 that he was, the Webster was one of the favorites, and that he has been able to actually showcase that throughout the whole season. I think it's amazing, Joe. And they're now going to the finals.
Yeah, when it mattered most in that final round, it was tied 6-6. Webster clutched up, and they proved that they are the ones to fight for the championship tomorrow. That's going to be tomorrow, Anna. They're playing tomorrow, and Texas is still going to play tomorrow as well. That's going to be the 3rd place match, which is going to be right before the finals. So any Texas fans still have something to look forward to. They still have some money to fight for on the line. But Webster, as you see here, Aram Hakobian saying Mizzou and SLU are quite good, but he believes that his team are the favorites, and he performed today, putting his money where his mouth is. And what's interesting is Mizzou and SLU are the 2 teams that are going to be playing right after this. So one of those 2 teams is going to fight their way into the finals and play against Webster. What a match.
What a match it has been, but what a match we are about to get. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be going on a little short break, but during the break, learn how to unlock the student discount for Chess.com premium membership. Check that out. We have the semifinal match number 2 coming up. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this out. We'll see you very soon.
Students, did you know that you can get a discount on any Chess.com premium membership? If you're enrolled in a college, university, or high school in a participating country, you can get 50% off any yearly or monthly premium plan, diamond, platinum, or gold. That's unlimited game review, unlimited puzzles, unlimited bots, unlimited lessons, and no ads. All at 50% off. Go to chess.com/students and get your discount today.
we have Magnus Carlsen's most incredible moments as world champion. This one right here is Viswanathan Anand with the white pieces versus Magnus Carlsen in 2013. Here we go. So this is a Nimzo Indian, famous variation, right? And the last move here was B3 from Magnus, just saying, hey man, I'm trying to queen this pawn. And of course, Anand is saying, I'm trying to mate your king. Cool, you can get your little queen. I'm just going to try to checkmate you, right? So of course, this is a hint to move F5, B3. And he's like, cool. Viswanathan Anand says, hey, okay, you can get this queen. I'm going to try to go for mate. So he goes queen F4, get another piece in the game. This looks very, very dangerous here. Knight C7. What the heck is going on? Knight to C7. He thought it'd be something spectacular. He was like, yeah, I'm waiting for this one. But it's just knight to C7. Defensive move. Cool. Allows F6 to happen here. F6 is going to take on G7. There's going to be kind of annoying, scary things happening with knight H5. Magnus plays G6. Okay, it's locked up. It's going to be scary if a queen gets to H6. Also, if the queen and a rook get to the H file, it's going to be a wrap for black here. Magnus is going to be mated. Okay, cool. So Magnus understands that. Vishy Anand understands that too and plays queen to H4. Where is he going, class? H6, right? He's about to mate. He's also trying to get the rook over here too as well. Okay, cool. With that being said, your move. What do you do now? It's black to move. Here's the move, hence knight C7 to put the knight on E8. The saying goes, a knight on E8 is actually F8. That's is what they say. There is no mate. Anand understands this. He said, oh, there's no more mate. That's cool. I'm gonna put my queen right here. What I'm trying to do is bring the rook up to F3 or F4 and actually go for this mate on H7 because you stopped the G7 mate. That's cool. Perfect. Well, Magnus understands this. So what does Magnus do in this position? Black to move. Here it is. Magnus says, cool, you want mate? Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Go for it. B2. Do your thing, big fella. Go ahead, Viswanathan Anand. So he says, okay, I will, young fella. Rook F4. He goes here and he's going for rook H4 mate. Wow. This is scary. Well, are you going to get your queen? You did all of this. Are you going to get your queen or not? Of course we are. B1 queen. Right after B1 queen, knight to F1 from Anand. And the move here that seals the deal is what, guys? There's two queens on the board. Magnus has two queens, but is he getting mated or not? It's black to move. He goes queen E1, and then the game is over. The game ended right here, believe it or not. There is no more PGN, right? What do you mean, queen E1? What sense does that make? Well, let's see what happens. The idea here is after queen E1, where were you putting your rook? H4. Well, I can just go rook H4, but guess what? After I capture it, queen sacrifice, sacrificing one of my two queens. After queen takes H4, let's do a piece count. You have a queen, you have a bishop, and a knight. I have a queen, a bishop, a knight, and a rook, guys. So after that, this is done, right? I have an extra piece, an extra rook, and there's no mate here. So that's a resignation. And Magnus wins. That's incredible, right?
I'd classify trading as a game really that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the semifinals of the CCL spring season presented by SIG. SIG is a trading company, but what makes it unique is its gaming culture, with a particular emphasis on puzzles. Chess.com went behind the scenes to learn more about how SIG leverages puzzle solving as a way to sharpen their employees' problem-solving skills.
My name is Kelly Henry, and I work in recruiting at SIG. Our founders' love for the quantitative side of strategy games is still the foundation of our business, our culture, and our education today. We have board game nights, competitive chess teams, and puzzles placed all around the building. We have grandmasters, we have World Series bracelet holders, but we also have people who play games just for fun. I think one of the things that makes SIG really unique is that you can be a student and a teacher. There's always a game to learn, and there's always someone who wants to teach you.
I'm Michael Hines, and I'm a quant here at SIG. I was a graduate student at UC Berkeley, and I got like this email from one of the recruiters at SIG about a brain teaser battle. The brain teaser battle was really fun. I also saw that this kind of puzzle culture was really integral in SIG and something that they cared about a lot, and was also really important to how they thought about problems, which I thought was really cool and made me want to pursue an internship at SIG.
We added escape rooms to our interview process as a way for us to see how candidates solve quantitative problems while working together collaboratively. It's important for us to see how people work together collaboratively on these challenging problems because it emulates the trading environment. It's what they're going to do on a day-to-day basis if they do end up joining SIG, no matter what role they're in. It's something that we found also gives the candidates an opportunity to feel what it would be like to actually work here.
And it goes like that.
I think the escape interview is indicative of all the puzzles we have to solve here. Not only because you're working together as a team, not only because you're leveraging the quantitative skills you need to be successful, but also because the open-endedness of trading and the open-endedness of financial markets suits itself reasonably well to the microcosm of the open-endedness of an escape room. But being able to sift out what has value, what does not have value, I think applies not only to traders, it applies to technologists, it applies to quantitative researchers trying to solve novel problems, it applies to everyone here at SIG.
Puzzles are obviously a big part here at SIG. I first came to SIG as an intern, and a lot of the trader education, but that's super game-centered. There's a lot of things about thinking about games and incomplete information that SIG believes is extremely correlated with how they think about the marketplace.
What would I say to a student who knows that they love puzzles but doesn't know what they want to do for a career? I would tell them to push themselves to try this. The similarities that exist between games, puzzles, and the work that we do here is clear. We know that the people at SIG who love puzzles, who love gaming, who love a fast-paced environment, thrive here. It's an environment that doesn't suit everyone. But if you love winning, if you love competing, if you love solving complex problems, I think we have great problems for you to solve here.
I'd classify trading as a game really that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
All right, first game we're gonna play is rapid fire.
All right.
I'm gonna name a sport, and you're gonna tell me who the greatest player is. Basketball.
Kobe.
Kobe, all right. Baseball.
Shoot. Well, the ones who play at the St. Louis Cardinals, they have some young players. I think Mike Matheny a player?
Mike Matheny?
Yeah, I like him. Yeah.
Okay.
I meet him all
What about soccer?
Lionel Messi, because he's very consistent.
Okay.
Also, since back in college days, he was already number one, and he's still until recently number one.
Football.
Mahomes, I watch him. I watch also his commercials.
Okay. Tennis.
Djokovic.
All right, I love it. Golf.
I guess everyone says Tiger Woods. But there's this very pretty girl, Paige Spiranak.
All right, I like it. All right, what about poker?
Gosh. I only know Jennifer Shahade. yeah, I only know her and Grischuk. So.
You hear that, Jen Shahade? You're the GOAT. You're the GOAT of poker. All right. Chess.
Danny Wrench.
Okay, come on. You're the best. I appreciate it. I'm going to say Wesley So then.
You said favorite, right?
The favorite? Who's the GOAT? Who's the GOAT?
GOAT?
Yeah.
Hard to choose. I'd say Fischer for now. But okay. I suppose the right answer is Carlsen, but I'll say Fischer because he's an American.
Okay. Chess boxing?
I'll pick my boy Kanti.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, he hasn't done it yet, but I think he might be one of the greatest ever when he's done.
Probably, yeah, he's pretty good.
Your favorite movie?
Well, say Lord of the Rings first comes to mind.
Okay.
Classic. I can watch it over and over again. But I like the newest the Batman.
Okay.
3 hours long, the latest one. So
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's the best
good.
Batman movie ever.
Okay. Favorite TV show?
Is The Crown a TV show?
The Crown? Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
okay.
We're gonna go watch it right after this tournament, the latest season. I love it.
That's great. That's great. Favorite author?
I'd say Sam Shankland if he writes more books. Okay. Well, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Like, I really want to read Levi Rosman's book, so I'll get there one day.
Well, on Levi, I'll ask you, who's your favorite chess creator?
Well, Hikaru. I love his Twitch streams. Although since his Twitch websites, I've been following him less. Yeah. But when he was in Twitch, like, I enjoyed watching his Title Tuesday streams, especially. Like,
Blitz or classical?
Classical.
Online or OTV?
Over the board.
E4 or D4?
E4.
Fischer or Kasparov?
Yeah, that's a hard question, but I go with Fischer at the moment.
Closed or open positions?
Open positions.
Searching for Bobby Fischer, the movie, or The Queen's Gambit on Netflix?
Yeah, it's a tough question, but I go with The Queen's Gambit.
Okay.
Welcome back to the semifinals of the CCL spring season presented by SIG. We're moments away from our second match of the day, St. Louis University versus the University of Missouri. Now, the winner of this match will be going to the finals. Joe, how excited are you about this match?
I mean, we just watched a thriller, Webster punching their ticket for the first time to the finals, and now they await who their opponent's going to be. Is it going to be the defending champs, St. Louis University, the favorite, the #1 seed, or is it going to be the challenger, Mizzou, who they've won it before themselves back in Season 2? This is actually a rematch of the Season 1 finale, and we've seen these two teams play before in this season. They played the last semifinals. I mean, Mizzou and SLU, one of the biggest rivalries in college chess. These teams don't like each other. They definitely both want to win. They're going to put it all on the line here, whatever it takes to get the job done. And I cannot wait to see these two teams go at it.
And that's the thing, beating the defending champions is never easy, but it's especially not easy when they're led by Grandmaster Benjamin Bok. And we can see that Mizzou and St. Louis University played each other in week 7, and St. Louis University won by a lot of points. It finished 11.5 versus 4.5, so that was quite a sweep in a way by SLU. And Benjamin Bok won all his 4 games. He went 4 out of 4, Joe. I mean, do you think he can redo that today?
I think that he's definitely motivated to do that. And we actually had him commentating last week because he had a bye and you were obviously in Reykjavik. And I mean, when Bok is in form, he cannot be beat, as he's shown. He's gone 4 out of 4 against Mizzou. And that is definitely a difference maker against such a powerhouse team like Mizzou. Like, to sweep all 4 of them, Oparin, Antipov, Raja, as we've seen, he's had some really good results, but he went 0 for 4. So I think that's going to be something to look out for. Is Raja going to be on his game? Is Bok going to be on his game? I mean, when Bok is on his game, he can't be beat. And he's putting channel points on the line. The prediction's still up right now. I think in Anna's chat, it's pretty close, but in the Chess.com chat, it's a landslide in favor of SLU because Bok, I think, personally put 500,000 points on the SLU team.
That is amazing. That is really funny, actually. But you mentioned Raja, Joe, and that is the thing. Raja has had some great performances. He's also had some not so good performances. In week number 7 versus SLU, he actually scored 0 points. So he lost all 4 games. However, in the quarterfinals, which I missed last week, he took 3.5 out of 4 points. So he seems to be a little bit of an up and down player. Some weeks he can do really well. Some weeks he doesn't do so well. So I wonder if he's going to remember this and be a little bit intimidated today because he knows that last time he lost all 4 games. Do you think there could be that psychology behind the chess today, Joe?
They don't have any room for error as every point is going to matter and count. And we saw last round, he did very, very well. 3.5 out of 4. I believe Raja's even had a perfect 4 out of 4 week before. So he's got the potential. He's got the talent. He's got the skill. But does he have the consistency? And that is what we're really going to be looking for today. That's what separates him from players like Bok, who week in and week out perform on a regular basis. And that's why SLU's the #1 seed. They don't even have Bok on board 1. He's their board 2. They got Theodoru. They have Batsurin. They've got Rebi Kevlishvili. We've got all 8 players here. They're locked in. They're ready to go. This is what the entire season has led up to for these 2 teams. We've seen Oparin playing from a car. He's not in a car anymore. It looks like he's good to go. I mean, everything is on the line right now. These 2 teams want it so badly, but only one of them will be able to get the win and move on to the finals tomorrow.
And also, I want to emphasize that we've seen a lot of Antipov throughout the season too. Antipov is known to be a player with a lot of brilliancy. He's a tactical player that, well, we've seen all kinds of openings from him, and it's been so exciting to follow his chess throughout this season. So Mizzou has some really strong players, and they're going to put up the best fight they can against the back-to-back winner SLU. So we see that the games have started. We can start by checking out how it's going for Raja. He's facing right now Theodoru, board number 1, and we're seeing a Sicilian here, but it's becoming an Alpin, C3, with the idea of playing D4. So we're seeing now all of them getting their first moves in. And I mean, Joe, do you play this with white? Do you play the Sicilian?
The
Alpin, I mean, yeah.
Alpin. I love the Alpin. I actually saw Danya playing it, so I'm like, Danya, he's a pretty good chess player. Like, I should try to do what Danya does. And lo and behold, that's what we're seeing from Raja. And interestingly, we interviewed Raja after his stellar performance last week. We asked him what his favorite opening was, or what opening he thinks is the most underrated, especially top levels. And he answered the King's Gambit. So E4, I wonder if Theodoru watched that interview. I wonder if he knew not to play E5 and let maybe Raja try the King's Gambit, although probably most of these players aren't maybe afraid of the King's Gambit. Maybe we will welcome that. So I'm really curious to see if Raja can try to get for his King's Gambit maybe in round 3 when he has... Actually, I'm not sure if he has white again next or not. But yeah, no, we see an Alpin, C3 Sicilian, playing for D4, and now he's able to play against this isolated queen's pawn that we've seen before. So I'm glad the players are now playing these E4 openings, because this is definitely more my wheelhouse, so to speak.
Yeah, we saw a lot of D4 in the previous match. So this is becoming a little bit more E4. But I'm seeing right now that there's a bit of an isolated pawn on D5. Bishop F5 was played. We're also seeing the other boards have all started. Is it a Berlin that we're seeing on game number 3? I feel like they're playing the theory out so quickly. I mean, Kevlishvili has more than 5 minutes on the clock. I've never seen such fast moves being played. So I think it's been like 20 moves of theory that we've seen. And then we can see actually a little bit of a slower game on board number 2. Benjamin Bok is taking his sweet time here for some reason in the opening. He's thought for like a minute 30. I feel like he's typically a fast player, Joe, but he's taking a little bit of time here.
Yeah, I mean, this is only round one. Theodoru, we've seen him play very, very solid chess throughout the season. He's obviously SLU's board one, and I think that he's still fairly comfortable out of the Sicilian, and just yeah, maybe spending a little bit of time to think through, but still very early on in the round.
Is Luca playing from a bed? Is he laying down in a bed right now, or is he sitting up in a chair? That is what I'm kind of wondering, because it looks like a big pillow behind him. It looks like he's laying down with his laptop, chilling, and just playing his game, his semifinals game.
Yeah, he maybe saw Gleb Duden leaning back and getting some good results. We've seen them do this before. I've seen Luca play from a hotel room in his bed. So, yeah, it's interesting. As long as they're meeting the 2-camera requirement from the Fair Play Proctor, they can pretty much play from wherever. We've had players from lower divisions play from Starbucks. We saw Oparin play from his car. We've seen players play from campus, outside. I mean, anything goes here.
Anything goes here, and that's, you know, kind of the beauty of this too. Everyone is just giving their best, but also because it's a long season, you have to accommodate everyone's needs, as obviously it's a lot of weeks that they're playing. But we're seeing now e4 break in the center whilst the king is on e1. King is still in the center. Quite a brave choice in a way, I would say. And also Benjamin Bok has spent half of his time. He has 2 minutes 29. He's trying to figure out what to do. I am really shocked, actually. It feels like it's definitely going a bit slow here.
Yeah, this is not the exciting start that we're anticipating from Benjamin Bok. He's used a ton of time in Luca from the comfortableness of his own bed. He's only spent 10 seconds on this opening. So, you know, I mean, this would be such a huge point for Mizzou to get out of Bok in round one.
It would be huge, especially considering how well Bok performed last time they played Mizzou. So, yeah, I'm wondering here if what happens. I mean, if you take, can you play f5 at some point? That is one thing, but that just feels really crazy to play something like f5, because Black also needs to think about their king. Maybe something like knight c6, targeting the pawn on d4, or maybe just taking first and kind of forcing white to take with the pawn, because if you take with the queen, I thought you can take on e4.
You thought, I mean, I thought so too, but Luca, I mean, he spent 2 seconds on that move, and I mean, lo and behold, this is just, I really don't know. The computer loves Luca's position, so the move here apparently is to castle queenside.
Wow, and just basically, there we go. Luca knows his theory. He seems so relaxed. He seems so in control right now. This is actually amazing to see. And Benjamin Bok almost only has a minute. What is happening, Joe? This is insane.
This is not the start we were anticipating. Over 3-minute advantage, Luca. I mean, he's board 3 against Bok. I mean, he does have the white pieces, so that maybe takes up a little bit of the reasoning for this. But I mean, we've not seen Bok in a position like this. He's under a minute.
He's under a minute. He looks uncomfortable, I think, and definitely feels like he's, yeah, look at that with the hand and everything. I feel like he looks slightly uncomfortable. He's playing c6. Now it's just time for him to play fast, but it's almost a 4-minute advantage. I mean, this is starting to look like my own games, Joe, where I'm just almost all my time down versus my opponent.
Yeah, Bok, I mean, last week he didn't play. He was in the commentary booth with me, and maybe that's why he's off to a slow start. He hasn't played since week 7, which was against this Mizzou team, SLU beating them, I believe, 11.5 to 4.5. So obviously, SLU has beaten Mizzou many times in the past. They're even used to it, some would say. Bok was in the chat hyping up this match, putting all the channel points on the line. He went all in on him and his team, but at the end of the day, he's got to get the results done, and it's not looking good for him right now.
It is not. We're going to come back to see if he's able to recover from this position, but maybe we can take a look at Antipov board, who's playing versus Robbie Kevlishvili, because this is looking, let's see how it's looking. I mean, we're seeing a bishop pair versus bishop and knight. I feel like every time I see an Antipov game, he has this crazy position. Maybe this is one of the more normal positions he's had this season, to be honest. But we're seeing maybe a trade of rooks, but Antipov is saying, no, I don't want to trade rooks. I'm going to put my rook on the open d file, and I'm going to have an active one here.
Yeah, they traded queens off. Kings are now on f2 and f7. Bishop pair, as you called it, for whites. Otherwise, I think this position's pretty much dead even. I do maybe give a slight edge to the bishop pair, but other than that, I think we'll have to come back later to see how this one pans out.
I agree with you. Can maybe take a look as well on the next board. Grigoriy Oparin is playing against Basurin. And this position, okay, we're seeing quite a scary knight on b6. Also, maybe quite a scary knight on b5 that could jump to d4. But now black is immediately saying, hey, your knight on b6 is a bit annoying. Let me trade you off. I don't want you to stay there. So I'm going to play knight d7 and get you out of here.
Yeah, this knight, it's really messing up Oparin's rooks, right? So the knight controlling both d7 and c8, rooks unable to double. And so if we see this trade, black will very easily capture back and put a lot of pressure on a backwards d-pawn. So Oparin trying to trade that knight off, but Basurin saying, no thanks. I'm going to leave the knight on the board and just try to continue playing on. But we see black getting the knight back. I wonder if we're going to hop back in to b6.
What I wonder is if black is going to go knight e6 and knight d4. And that knight on d4 is going to be a million times better than the knight on b6. That knight is going to control the whole position. If you can get a knight over there that stays there, which it will, because white only has a light squared bishop. There's no dark squared bishop or any other knight that's close enough to be able to kick it away. I think that's going to be an amazing knight. Maybe you have to go knight e3, knight f5 as white. But then g6 is coming, and yeah, I'm seeing a beautiful knight coming up over there very soon. There we go.
There it is. You called it. This is definitely the strategy, the plan that Oparin has. And look at the time difference. Another 3-minute advantage for a Mizzou player. So Mizzou looking to strike early in round one with the time edge. And here Oparin not only up on time, but up in space. That knight landed on d4, just as you called it. And that is definitely hindering a lot of white's pieces. We saw the knight being annoying to the rooks here on b6. We see the knight coming back, but this knight on d4 maybe even more annoying to white's pieces. And we see that last piece traded off. Oparin says, go ahead. I will take that knight that you've put there. And bishop versus knight, but look at the dark square control from black. Everything on dark squares. This bishop, only job is to defend d5. And now black's just taking more space on the king side.
Yeah, I love this. Such an easy position in a way for Oparin to play. So much more comfortable. And it's not looking good for SLU this first round. I mean, they're the favorites, but it's not looking good. And I don't know if it's the pressure that's adding up. They are the back-to-back winners. They know that this is today. They need to get to the finals. I don't know if that's the pressure that we're seeing right now, but they are being very slow. And 18 seconds versus 3 minutes is a huge difference. Look at that. Look at f5. This is really nice. And now at some point, black is going to wait for the perfect moment to strike with f4, I think.
Yeah, rook to the f file, preparing for this f4 pawn break. And there you have it. So moves are coming in. Basurin doesn't have a lot of time. He's bringing the king off of this diagonal. There's so many games to look at, Anna. Everything's happening all at once. This match is so back and forth. We got to maybe take a look back with Bok. He's got 5 seconds.
5 seconds. Look at minute 20. Pushes pawn.
Oh, what was that? E5 was just, I mean...
Was that just a free pawn?
He thought maybe he could take on g6. And he does. But now, Bok in the absolute time pressure, he's in a better position now.
We just jinxed it. We came here. And now it's just complete. He's just going to lose all the pawns. Wow, rook e7.
Goodness.
But it's going to be 2 pawns.
He gives a check. He wants to take the b pawn.
So that they're not connected, exactly. But it's still going to be probably a losing endgame. So, wow. That
You and me
E5
both.
move.
There's nothing more to say. I mean, Luca was absolutely crushing it in the time and the position, and Bok swindles it back. I mean,
I am shocked.
how do we ever doubt Bok's abilities, right? Were we ever concerned, really? I mean, he had it
Yes,
all
we were,
under
Joe.
control.
Yes, we were concerned. We had every right to be concerned. He had so little time. He had a worse position. But then Luca playing this move E5 that, yeah, was probably just a miscalculation. He was trying probably to play fast, try to flag Bok, but you don't flag Bok, I think. I think that's where maybe we were wrong. We thought Bok was going to get very low on time and flag, but he is extremely fast when he needs to be.
You don't flag Bok, no, especially with the 2-second increments. And Luca, he hasn't changed his positioning at all on the bed, but the positioning has gone from good to unfortunately bad now on the board. So yeah, Bok's gonna have to push these pawns through somehow. What's he gonna do? He's bringing his rook around, I think, to b1 and then to b2, or maybe a2 b2, king to b1, and then push the c pawn through.
Exactly, that is what he's trying to do. And Luca is now spending his time trying to find a solution, but I don't think that there is a solution to this problem right now. So looking very good for Bok. I also, whenever we see this game finish, or maybe even now, because I think this game is going to finish very soon, I want to go back to seeing Oparin's game because it's looking like he has a big advantage. And Batrun only has 1 second.
Oh my god, 2.5 seconds. He made that last move with half a second on his clock. He played rook g1. Computer hates it. What's black going to do now? He's going after the queen. Oparin's got tripled up on the f-file. Aliekin's
There must be a checkmate.
Rook, queen, rook. This king is so weak. There comes in the queen. We have maybe checks on f2.
Can you go rook f2?
But then there's going to be a block.
Takes, king takes, queen f. Okay.
Yeah, there's the block, queen trade, rook coming in. Maybe we trade and now we take the d pawn. We lose our e pawn though.
But was there a way we could take the other one instead? I mean, now there's another check, I suppose, on d2. You take the b pawn, but little bit scary maybe. So I like that idea of pushing the b pawn first to make the b pawn as strong as possible. But I mean, now if rook d2, you can almost go rook e2, right? Because you cannot trade, because then the pawn will promote the d pawn, white's d pawn.
Benjamin Bok gets the first win of the round after what looked like was completely losing position. He comes back. I mean, not really a surprise. SLU up 1-0.
Yeah, SLU up 1-0, but this game could definitely turn it around if Oparin is able to get the win. So now you just cannot trade rooks because then, or can you? Yes, you can actually. You can push, yeah. You can push right here.
Does he find? I mean,
b2. You just push it.
Does he trade rooks first? No, he checks. Why? Oh, he's gonna flag Batrun. No, he gets behind the d pawn. 2.6 seconds. They trade off. He's going after the a pawn. Yeah, I mean he didn't have to try for any tricks because he just prevented white from promoting, and he knows in the long run he's good. So he get a resignation, and we have a draw between Robbie and Antipov. That leaves us with this one last game. This is also looking like a draw, but 1 pawn advantage for Raja.
It is looking like a draw, though. Typically, these positions are just a draw because the pawns are on the same side of the board, so it's hard to create any counterplay. Plus, the only way you could get a pass pawn is by pushing the g pawn. But if you do that, I mean, that h5 pawn is really just stopping it right now. So unless white somehow wins that h5 pawn, I don't see how white is going to win. But of course, Raja is pushing for the win. You're not going to offer a draw here. You're not going to make it easy for black. You're going to have black try to prove that they can draw this, which I'm sure that Theodoro can do. But this game is definitely going to go on for a little bit. We have a tied score right now, 1.5, 1.5. It's as close as it can be. And wow, it's really a nail-biting first match. If Benjamin Bok would have lost that game, it would really have turned the match around, Joe.
That would have been crazy. Exactly what Mizzou needed. But nope, Bok, as the captain does, he comes through clutch, making sure his team is still in it, still the favorite. Tied up 1.5, 1.5, as you called it. And here, these players, Raja's trying to see if he can somehow catch Theodoro slip up. But a draw is going to be a great result for Mizzou. Board 4 taking down board 1, Theodoro. And I feel like we've seen this time and time again where Bok as board 2 just clutches up for SLU, and Theodoro as board 1, maybe like not as much pressure on him to succeed. Like Bok somehow just outperforms every single week. And yeah, we're going to get a repetition very soon here.
Yeah, we are. The one thing you cannot do as black is you don't want to trade rooks here. So you just got to avoid the trade of rooks. But as long as the rooks are still on the board, we're seeing here Raja really trying. He's trying to push down the king. Going g4 and trading is never good because it's extremely easy to stop the h-pawn. In fact, in that position, even if you trade rooks, it's going to be a draw. The king can always just stay on h8 or g8 and it's always going to be a draw. So white is definitely waiting with pushing the pawn. They want to try to win that h5 pawn. If white is able to win the h5 pawn, then they're winning. But that should not be possible.
Yeah, we should be getting very close to repetition. Yeah, we see the players agree to a draw. So first round in the books, tied 2-2. We see Raja shaking his head. He's disappointed, which is amazing because he's a board 4 with a draw against board 1. A good result for him and his team, but you can tell he expects better. He wants to win, especially being up a pawn. But we saw him get swept by this SLU team in the past. Round 1, he already got a draw, so not worried about that. Still 3 rounds to go, but it's all tied up after 1.
That's what I'm liking to see, though, that Raja, he's really playing his best. He's giving it everything. And I mean, he can be an amazing chess player. He's definitely got the skill to be able to beat anybody in this team. So it's really exciting to see Raja playing so well and pushing for the win already on round number 1 against SLU's number 1 player. So we got 3 rounds to go, like you said, Joe. There's still so much that can happen, and we're going to see if this match stays as close. I do think that in the first round, we might have gotten a little bit of a more nervous SLU. I kind of got that impression with everybody thinking a little bit more. Maybe they just needed, because they had the bye last week, maybe they just needed to get into the playoffs and then just feel it, and then they'll start playing faster.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit of first round jitters, a little nerves influencing that first round for some of the players. But these players are both veterans. Like I said, these teams have been here since season 1. This is a replay of the season 1 finale where SLU actually won that 9.5, 6.5. SLU won last season in the semifinals against Mizzou 10-6, and they won earlier this season. But Mizzou did beat SLU in the regular season last season by a dominant score, 12.5, 3.5, but that was without Bok. So I don't know if Mizzou's ever beat SLU with Bok in the team, in the lineup. And another, I was going to call it a fun fact, but maybe it's more of a sad fact. I think this is going to be both Bok's and Theodoro's last season in the CCL. So this could be their last chance at a championship to set up the dynasty.
Wait, that is so sad. I didn't know that. Is it because they're graduating from college?
Yeah, I mean, Bok's he's a grad student, I think getting a master's, but I think I mean, maybe he like flunked some classes and still plays. I don't know, Anna. What do you think?
I feel like he wants to stay in the CCL. I can't see him, leaving. I feel like even if he studies some random class, he's gonna add some stuff to stay. But I think that is a great thing. And speaking of Benjamin Bok, by the way, we have one of the most exciting games this round, which is Benjamin Bok versus Raja. I really want to see that game because I think it's just going to be a super exciting game to follow. 2 people we've featured, 2 people we've talked about facing each other. We got Benjamin Bok, one of the favorites, versus Raja, who can beat anybody when he's at his best. So definitely want to see that game. And then we'll also have, Nicolas Theodoro, who's playing as Luca in his bed.
I mean, any game you look at, it's going to be huge. So let's take a look at this Raja Bok game.
Yeah, let's do it. There it is. There it is. Very thematic, is that a word? Thematic to play d4 here and just trying to get black to have an isolated pawn on d5, trying to trade over there. And now black needs to make the choice. Do you castle? Do you take? I don't really think you want to take. What do you do as black? That is the question. Do you move out your bishop? But yeah, black is probably going to get an isolated pawn.
To take or not to take? That is the question. I think that was from Shakespeare, right?
Did Shakespeare say that?
Or was it Takespeare?
I don't know. Joe, don't ask me about Shakespeare. I don't know.
I'm sorry. No, the quote is to be or not to be.
Oh, I knew it wasn't takes or not. I was like, there's no way he said this. I was like, this is very confusing. But maybe in American schools, they teach these things, which they didn't teach me in Sweden, you know?
Well, I mean, Shakespeare's a European guy, so I figured you guys would know maybe a little better. But
maybe we should. Yeah, maybe we should. But Bok is just putting his hands on his face right now. I wonder if he's feeling good or if he's feeling a little bit rusty somehow. Because I mean, he's looking very focused, but I'm getting maybe a little bit that impression.
Bok was waiting for Raj's move, both hands on his head. Raja just castles, very sensible. And now we see Bok taking, D takes C5, and now Raja stranded with the IQP. We've seen this game after game again, and now Bok just developing that last minor piece, pressure immediately on D5. This is shaping up to be a close one here and a better time management out of the gate from Bok. He's actually up on time against Raja. So first game, maybe a little nervous, but he ended up getting the job done against Luka. Luka maybe letting that one slip, but now it's up to Raja. And remember, Bok swept Mizzou last time they played, and Raja got swept. So this key matchup here already in round 2, this could determine whether or not Bok is still in shape and on form, and if Raja's backing in. We already saw a good result for Raja in the previous round to draw against Theodorou. But Bok, this is going to be his ultimate test for today.
And speaking of ultimate tests, I am seeing on board 4, Antipov having an insane position versus Batsurin. And this is looking crazy. We're seeing a pawn sacrifice now with G6. It's not a pawn sacrifice because there's a bishop. But what is happening? This just looks completely crushing. But Surin is just laughing and shaking his head. And he's like, what just happened?
Oh my gosh.
Is there any way of surviving this?
I mean, Anna, we're only 10 moves into this game. Another E4, E5, 4 knights game.
How does that happen?
D6, bishop
this
back
is the
to
most
C4.
solid thing.
And now G4, knight back, G5, knight in, and now G6. This G-pawn just said, I'm going to walk straight up the board and win a knight.
He's just a piece down in 10 moves. This is incredible. Only Antipov can throw the G-pawn in move 7 and somehow end up winning a piece with that pawn and probably the game too. I like that Batsurin is still fighting. He's not giving up. I think for the sake of the team, for the sake of not just losing immediately, I like that fighting spirit. He's going to try to play bishop c7, d5, and try to do something. But obviously Antipov right now is just completely winning. And he also has a huge time advantage. I'm sure he's going to take this home.
Yeah, Batsurin, he's a board 4, and to give him some credit, you know, he's playing against Antipov. Board 2 is a very strong opponent. I feel like Mizzou and SLU kind of have a similar lineup strategy where like Oparin and Theodorou are the top boards and the strongest players, but their board 2s are the ones that are really like the engine of the team, getting the most points. Bok for SLU, Antipov for Mizzou. And so if Batsurin's going to throw a game in this match, you better throw against one of the top 2 boards because he's got the last half of the match to really pick up and take it to another gear and get back on track. But you really can't be dropping pieces, especially 10 moves into a game, especially with the semifinals here on the line. And Batsurin shaking his head. He laughed initially, as you pointed out. Maybe that's definitely a sign of nerves. But this could be a wake-up call for him, and good to get it out of the way early in the first half of the match. But obviously, ideally, you should be ready to go and can't really afford to drop pieces like that.
No, absolutely not. And we saw also Batsurin having quite a lot of time trouble in the first game. So we'll see what happens in the second half. I kind of want to go back to the Bok game because it looks like he just has an amazing position right now versus Raja. Somehow he was able to turn things around and it's looking very good. I'm wondering, can you Now, I guess you don't want to take yet on d5 because there's some rook d8 coming, but that pawn is going to fall at some point, Joe, I think. I really think so. Maybe there's knight d4 in this. Oh, no, there's a bishop on a7 sneaking around.
Man, those bishops, those sniper bishops, as they call them, from across the board. Knight d4 played, and bishop takes, and now the bishop goes back to b8, lurking in the shadows even more, pointing still at the king side, but kind of disconnecting the rook, though. So does the bishop want to take this knight?
I am wondering that. I think it does, but then also always f5 needs to be a move you have to be cautious about, maybe. I mean, at least taking, if you take with the e-pawn, maybe you can go g4, f5, and we can have a big pawn break on the king side, maybe. So could be something like that, but we will see what Raja does. I also want to see the first board. We haven't checked it out between Theodorou and Luca, who's once again playing from his bed. I'm seeing people in chat pointing it out, getting very excited, saying, show the bed guy. And here we have Luca. It looked like Theodorou had quite a nice position before, but maybe Luca is being able to stabilize this, even though it's looking quite scary for the king.
I love that Mizzou, throughout the season, they've had Oparin and Okarin. Now they have Luca and the bed guy. So, I mean, these are tough teams to play against. They have like superhero names if where they're playing from is their superpower. I mean, we've had players, I think like Danya from Title Tuesday, I think almost won from like a plane. Like, I don't know what the craziest place is for these players to win their chess matches from, but I'm wondering, like, can we take on c2, or is this knight going to get trapped?
So I don't know, but taking on c2 would also have had the pawn on d3 being very weak. So if we could, I would definitely have liked to take there. Now it's going to be a little bit harder to break through with that bishop on h7. I don't know. Do we want to go something like rook b8 maybe? Just to activate the rook? I'm not sure, but yeah, it's looking very comfortable for Theodorou right now, I would say.
Yeah, the computer says that this last move, h4, is a mess. It wanted this capture, which is very surprising, right? Giving up a fianchetto bishop for a knight and reconnecting black's pawn structure. But maybe like this pawn is just super weak. I'm wondering if we can play rook a6 at some point and really just target this c pawn and maybe even like knight here as well, although maybe we get pinned. So yeah, lots of chances here for Theodorou, and Luca's spending time on the clock. Both players less than a minute.
Both players have little time, and I actually really like that idea, Joe. The idea of taking on d5, forcing e takes, and then having this move rook a6. Instead, we're seeing rook a7, which also looks really good. Immediately targeting the king, getting a piece active. You're going to be able to get the other... Oh, it feels like there must be tactics. Feels like there's tactics somewhere. Rook check. And now... Is there anything?
Oh, where's the tactic? Where's the tactic?
I don't know where it is, but it
Queen
feels like
takes c6.
Wow,
there it is.
Beautiful. Brilliant move. Beautiful. If you take, there's rook takes b8, checkmate, because of the bishop on h7, stopping the king from escaping. So queen d8. Now the rook is hanging, but you just won that pawn for free. That was beautiful. You could sense that there was something here.
Yeah, we see bishop takes, just defending that rook again. Black's going to take it. Now we take the rook. Queen takes. And now queen takes on d5, winning another pawn. 2-pawn advantage now for Theodorou.
Yeah, it just... Wow. There we see the power of attacking weak pawns. And we're seeing that, yes, there's this king g2 move, but white was threatening knight takes g6 as the pawn on f7 was pinned. So now white is just trading even more. c4, you're going to push that c pawn, and it's now completely lost for Luca. I mean, we might see a resignation soon. It's over. It is over here.
I might even go as far as to say it's Jover.
It is Jover, Joe. You're very right.
Anyone can say it. Okay, well, I want to look at, okay, we just missed this result, but Surin finally lost. He was down a piece since move 10, and he fought on to make it this close. I mean, ultimately losing, yes. But as you said, fighting on, keeping up the pressure. And I do think it's important to do that because you want to tire out your opponents for the next round, right? Because they have to play against your teammates later. But here, Bok's game, we were liking Bok, but Raja, he's brought it to an opposite color Bishop's game. Both players less than 20 seconds. Do you think it's a draw or what's happening?
I am seeing, I like rook e4. It's targeting, obviously now the pawn on g4 is hanging. Definitely idea sometimes of bishop d5. There we go. And now, this might be a different colored bishop endgame, but wait, can you take now? Oh, there's so many tactics now.
Oh, well, the bishops were hanging. Yeah, actually, the computer might have liked that best, Anna.
Oh!
What is this? Take?
Can you not just take?
That's
it's
a free pawn.
Bishop
Wow, Raja
takes
might
F6.
take down Bok.
Bishop takes f6 now, maybe. Bishop takes f5. It's an extra pawn. You can just push a5 here. Yes, just push it.
Can you not take?
Because you have rook, bishop. You have pawn takes f6.
Oh, there's.
So we're getting
No,
this
but then
endgame
our
now.
bishop on f5 was hanging. Okay, up a piece. This should be a draw, but I've seen this blundered many times by grandmaster players.
Yeah, there's been a lot of blunders here. Definitely a theoretical draw, but not easy to play. And the only person that can win here is Raja. So fantastic play by Raja. Maybe let some advantage slip there, but with time trouble, anything can happen. Let's see also here how it's going versus Oparin versus Kevlishvili. It looks like Oparin just has, much better position, extra pawn, but also that a pawn seems to be a winner. a6, a7, king b6, king b7. How do you stop the pawn? I don't know. You're not going to stop the pawn. And nice, you take the e-pawn before giving black any counterattack with another pass pawn. Very nice play there by Oparin.
Yeah, we might see resign soon. As if the rook goes back, we're just going to push that pawn, and then black's going to be Zugzwan to give up the d-pawn.
Wow, this is going to be a win for Oparin most probably, and there it is, right there. Joe, Mizzou is leading right now. This is insane.
By 1. They're up by 1, and Bok, I don't think he's going to get a win here to tie it. So going into the second half, Mizzou's going to have a lead. Ladies and gentlemen, this is as close as it gets. Raja taking down Bok. This, I'm sure after that last week 7 match, that's what Raja's been thinking about. He said, give me my opportunity back in the playoffs. Make me have this opportunity again against SLU, and he's making the most of it. He getting a draw against Theodoro, now likely going to get a draw against Bok. 2 points against the top 2 boards from SLU, especially as a board 4. This is exactly what Mizzou needed.
This is exactly what Mizzou needed, and that's why they're doing so well. And Raja, I think that just shows the spirit of a champion. From many people might have been very discouraged after losing so many games versus SLU, but not Raja. He's coming here and he wants his chance to prove everyone wrong. And there he is, just playing fantastic chess. And I'm really happy for him. So yeah, probably going to be a draw this game, but Mizzou entering the break with an extra point is just amazing for them. And we have to remind everyone that SLU is the back-to-back winners. This match, the winner of this match will be going to the finals. The other team will not be able to go to the finals and they will not be able to win the league anymore. So this is huge right now. There's a lot at stake.
Yeah, this is pretty much everything on the line. And you mentioned this word champions, right? SLU back-to-back champions, defending champions. They're expecting to win this. And we had a question in chat. Why are there so many channel points for SLU? Well, you're looking at the reason why. Benjamin Bok there, the lower camera, he's got the white pieces. He's the one that put all the channel points on him and his team to succeed. He's been lurking in the chat, gathering all the points. He's been going all in pretty much week in, week out for his team, and he's been rewarded based off of his own results. But right now, he gets the draw 50 move rule from Raja, who, you see Bok shaking his head. So he cannot sweep anymore. That's his first non-win of the match. Raja starting off with 2 draws. Can he break through and get some wins in the second half? It's all coming down to this. Mizzou up by 1.
Raja is going to be playing now the lower rated players in SLU, so we need to remember that he's been playing the top, and I think it's very impressive. We see Bok looking at the screen, looking at what has happened, and realizing that they're down a point right now. So yeah, very impressive by Mizzou so far. I don't know what's going to happen. There's 2 rounds to go. Will SLU be able to come back or not? We will be seeing that very soon. Joe, do you think we might get tiebreakers in this game? Is that, or in this match? Is that like what your prediction is?
I mean, technically, my prediction, I have SLU winning, but I don't know if my heart could take a tiebreak round between these two teams. Anything can happen at any given moment. Mizzou in the lead right now, but 2 rounds to go. SLU's very much still in it. They can still very much come back and even win before regulation's over. So, yeah, I mean, right now, the difference maker in my mind is the board for Raja. He's got 1 point out of 2. And the top 2 boards from Missouri, they're getting the job done. And that's pretty much the tail of the first half. So second half, SLU's got to get back in it.
They do, and it's going to be really exciting to see how that goes. So who's going to book their spot in the CCL Spring Championship? Stick around, we'll find out right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Do you want to add to your resume and earn up to $1,000 too? Chessable Research Awards are for you. Head to chessable.com/research_awards and apply today. The application is 10 questions long, and some questions are easy, like what is your name and what is your email address? Application questions also ask you to tell Chessable about a chess-themed research project that you want to begin, or about chess-themed research you're already doing. Past winners' topics include scuba diving and chess, and detecting chess cheaters. Applications are due by May 15th, and winners will be announced on June 15th. If you win, you will work with a faculty member on your research, then submit a blog post about what you accomplished. So what are you waiting for? Start your application today.
Interested in becoming a chess streamer like your favorite creators, such as Hikaru, Gotham Chess, and the Botez sisters?
Come on! Look at this! Woo!
The Chess.com community streamer program is growing every day. Whether you're just getting started with streaming or already established and looking to expand your audience, you can now connect your account to Chess.com and have your stream promoted on the game's largest platform. Simply link your account at chess.com/settings/connected accounts, set your category to chess on Twitch, and start streaming. You'll get an ad-free experience on chess.com. You will pop up on our list of live streamers. Your chess.com profile will feature your Twitch stream, and your stream will be linked to your games on our Play server. Type Command Community Streamer in chat and start growing your stream today.
Obviously, don't go and do that, please.
Hey, you do whatever you like.
We can't condone anything of the sort.
No, we can't live!
Did you know you can add emoji to your online games and analysis boards? Simply click on the emoji palette icon, select your emoji, and left-click on the board. You can choose from a host of notations, animations, emoticons, and even your favorite chess personalities. Emoticons will fade away after a few seconds. However, notations and special animations remain on the board until they are cleared. To clear them, simply left-click on the emoji or hit the Clear All button at the bottom of the palette. Have fun. Try them all on Chess.com.
Welcome back to the Collegiate Chess League presented by SIG. We have plenty of collegiate chess to be played today left, but there's also a lot of chess coming up this next few weeks. We have the Grigoriy Chess Classic, which is starting on March 26th. We have the very anticipated FIDE candidates and the FIDE women's candidates, which is starting April 4th. But before that, Joe, we have the finals of the Collegiate Chess League tomorrow, March 24th at 7 p.m. CET. And I am so sorry, I don't know the American conversion of that. I just realized. I just know that that is for my time. So you can maybe say what time that is for you. But are you as excited as I am for the finals tomorrow?
Of course, Anna. Tomorrow it's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific. All eyes on the broadcast because you don't want to miss who's going to win the Collegiate Chess League finals. And it's going to be the last match of the school year because we're going to be on a summer break and next season starts like in September. So yeah, tomorrow's the big day. But before we get there, we have to figure out who's actually playing. We already saw Webster win earlier today. And now we have the last two rounds of Mizzou and SLU going at it head-to-head, toe-to-toe, and Mizzou in the first half has gotten themselves a 1-point lead. They're up 4.5 to 3.5. SLU, perhaps for the first time in a long time, with their backs against the wall, season on the line, the defending title on the line, I mean, championship team, anything you could say about SLU, they've got it all at stakes here. And they have 2 rounds remaining to tie it up or to take the lead back. And otherwise, they're going to have to go home and play tomorrow in the 3rd place match. That's not a match they want to play in. They're going for glory. They're going for it all.
They are going for it all. And yeah, it's good that you're mentioning it. Tomorrow, we're seeing the finals. We are also seeing the match for 3rd place. But everybody here wants to be in the finals. Everybody here wants a chance of winning the whole championship. So SLU, they're the back-to-back winners. They do not want to be eliminated here today by losing to Mizzou, but Mizzou has played some fantastic chess these first 2 rounds. They have an extra point, and if SLU doesn't change something, they're going to lose. So yeah, everything is going to be decided in these next 2 rounds, and we are seeing the players here getting ready. Mizzou and SLU, they're sitting there. The games are about to start at any point. And you know what game I'm really excited to see, Joe?
What game is that?
Antipov versus Theodoru. We have the solid, very strong player Theodoru with the black pieces. The board number 1, SLU's board number 1, versus Antipov, the tactical player that won a piece in 10 moves against Batsurin before. And I'm really excited to see what happens in that game. It's kind of like tactical player meets solid chess player. And I think that's very exciting.
Well, that's the game that's happening right here, right now. We have another Sicilian from Theodoru and another C3. So Antipov playing this E4, bishop out to B5. It's now being questioned. Where do you want to put that bishop? A4, allowing B5? Or do you go back maybe even earlier? Maybe even like E2. I don't know. There it is.
Bishop e2, yeah, that's what we're having here. I feel like on a4, the bishop really wouldn't have any purpose apart from pinning that d pawn, but that's not really that important. So we're saying bishop c5. The idea is that if you take on d4, bishop takes, well, then the pawns are not really going to be together. The d pawn and the e pawn aren't really connected. So it doesn't really feel like maybe what you want to do, but you need to do something because otherwise your pieces cannot really get out. So we see king h1 instead with the idea of playing f4 and f5 and going for Antipov chess, just pushing the pawns. That is exactly what he wants to do right now because he doesn't really want to decide what to do in the center. So he's doing a waiting move to play f4.
If Antipov hasn't already started a coaching service, I think he really should and call it Antipov Chess and take that clip that you just gave him as his selling point. Maybe not include a4, rook a3 in the clip, but I mean, it worked out for him. So he definitely plays exciting chess, and this game's shaping up to be kind of on brand, as you called it, his style, Antipov Chess. And yeah, d3, knight out to d2, just solid developing, and I really want to see this f4 pawn break that you called.
I think the idea of 92 is to go knight b3 and threaten the bishop, threaten the pawn. But I gotta say this, Joe. I would buy that course. If he was a coach or if he did a course, I would buy the Antipov chess course. I want to play like Antipov, especially for my future tournaments this year. So I definitely think you should. We're seeing now f4 and f5 immediately by Theodorou, stopping Antipov from pushing that pawn further, which could get very scary. So Black doesn't want to give up that space. Instead, he's asking, okay, what are you going to do now? Are you going to push? Are you going to stay? And we're seeing Antipov actually staying and waiting a little bit.
Yeah, I love how Antipov is playing this. Knight to d2, f4, getting the pawn involved before we bring the knight to f3. Taking, putting the bishop on d4, then bring the knight back, attacking the bishop. Bishop tucks back, and now e5. So kind of solidifying the center here, releasing some tension. There could have been some trades. Instead, keeping things closed, clamping down perhaps on d7. And now we see b5, clearing way for the bishop to fianchetto on the long diagonal. This is going to be a really good piece, actually, pointing straight at White's king.
Yeah, actually, I'm starting to like Black more and more because I'm seeing this idea of Black playing knight d5, having the bishop on b7, and I just feel like White's pieces, now that e5 was played, are getting a little bit, kind of pushed behind or pushed back. So we're seeing bishop a3 to prevent the knight from going to d5. I think if he can, he might trade. But then also his dark squares are going to get very weak. He's played b3. Black has the dark squared bishop. I think that slowly but surely, Black is getting a really nice position with those bishops pointing towards the whole board.
Yeah, so we were praising Antipov's opening, but the computer saying this pawn push, e5, really takes a lot of the potential out of the position and creates weaknesses in both camps, right? So this pawn is a little backwards, and we see White's really putting pressure on the d6 square, really clamping down. But when we push our pawn, we give up squares as well. This d5 square in particular that you pointed out, the knight is going to be a very happy piece on d5, putting a lot of pressure on f4. But the problem is the knight can't go there right now because of the pin. So Black might do something about it. I mean, you might even have ideas of sacrificing the exchange, and these bishops are just really, really strong on these open diagonals. But a tough decision. I don't think Theodorou has to rush into it. You said he's a very solid player. I can see him making a lot more moves to improve his position from here.
I agree. I think this is going to be, even though it's looking nice for him, a long game, very positional game. So let's maybe check out the next one. We have Oparin playing versus Benjamin Bok, a huge game where it looks as if Bok has an advantage. He's done Bok things, which I don't know why. I feel like castling queenside is a kind of Benjamin Bok classic. Maybe it's not, but I've seen him playing that in a lot of games. So we're seeing actually Oparin also castling queenside. So it's a double queenside castles, which kind of makes queenside castles a bit of a more positional way of playing instead of an attacking way.
Yeah, I love this bishop here. This is always a little scary if you castle queenside and your king can't go more to the corner, although Black can always try to cancel the bishop out, right? A move like bishop to d6 would negate that diagonal. Instead, we see the bishop coming here. And c3. This is a peculiar move. Question mark.
Yeah, I'm wondering, can you go a5, a4, a3 and just open up the whole kingside? Or maybe even at some point go maybe a rook e8, e5, d4, or maybe d4. I mean, there's a lot of ideas to break the shield. What?
Wow, a sacrifice.
Wow, I did not expect that move at all.
Well,
so the
because
idea,
the pawn will take, and open up this file for the rook, pinning the bishop. So maybe just move the queen, although, I mean, yeah, this is quite an interesting. The computer doesn't like it so much, but it still likes Black's position. So Bok, as you said, he's doing Bok things. I love the players. We've gotten to watch them throughout this entire season. You have Antipov chess, you have Bok things like Oparin from the car.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't want to be remembered as that. But I mean, this is just some wild chess we're watching right now.
we've been able to watch them throughout a whole season, and I have to tell you, you know, this is the last weekend. It feels like we've kind of seen like this character development throughout so many weeks. So it's going to be sad when it's over. But yeah, okay, so what are we seeing here? So he did end up taking, and now we see knight d4. So the bishop is hanging. You can take it. You can also take on d4 first. There's a lot of options here, and Bok is definitely going to have to figure out what the best one is for him right now.
Yeah, this is tricky waters to navigate, but I definitely think Bok is able to do it. He is proven to be one of the best players, if not the best player performance-wise in all of the league. But Oparin, he's the only player in this match that's a perfect 2 out of 2, and that's a huge reason why Mizzou is leading this match right now by 1. Bok, he's going to try to bring his team back into it and take away this Mizzou lead. So he's looking good. He's definitely in a good position to give Oparin his first loss of this match. We see bishop to d5, getting out of the way of the knights, but also aiming a little bit of pressure on a2.
Yeah, and now you don't really want to play a3, because if you play a3 is going to be a point of sacrifice. So I'm wondering here, can you play something like queen a5? I'm not sure. First f6, preparing e5. I still really like Bok's position. I still think this looks great for him. We can maybe check out some of the other games. We still have 2 games we haven't seen, so maybe we can see how Raja is doing versus Kevlishvili. Raja, who's played a fantastic match so far, he's also been one of the key players for Mizzou. And he now has a little bit of worse time, but looking like a strong position versus Robbie's king on f2, looking very weak.
Yeah, this is looking great for Raja. Raja had a great first half, getting draws against the top 2 boards, Theodoru and Bok. But we saw him shaking his head, and we talked to him last week. He wants to do more than just draw. He wants to win. And now he's playing against the lower boards of the SLU team. First up here against Kevlishvili, a strong player, of course, one of Bok's countrymen from the Netherlands. We see Raja bringing the bishop back, maybe trying to bring the knight in. We see a pawn dropped, right? Kevlishvili just grabbing on c5. So is there some counterplay? There is this check. Bishop and queen are connected and defending each other. And we do see the queen trade. Raja's just low on time, and we've seen this before too. Kevlishvili 220. I mean, how can you play like this, Raja?
It's very little time, and I think that could be the decisive factor of this game. The position is fine, but it's extremely hard to find the right moves constantly with little time. So I think Rob, if he's able to apply a little bit of pressure, it's going to be so much easier for him to play. So yeah, we will see what happens in this game. We can maybe take a quick look at Betsurin versus Luca, who's playing from his bed. Seems like the sun is shining though where he's at, so that does look pretty nice. He's getting a little bit of energy from the sun, and that energy is being shown on the board with the move d3.
Luca conserving all energy as possible, staying in bed, making sure the sun's still shining on him. He's got some solar power fueling his moves here, and people call him, I know his last name is hard to pronounce, Budislavovich, but it's Bedsavlovich now today. But Betsurin, we saw him drop a piece in that last round. Not acceptable in this caliber match. And it looks like he's in a tough spot right now again here against the board 3 from Mizzou.
He does look to be in a tough spot. The pawn on f2 is right now hanging. Do you play e3? E3 looks scary because there might be d2. I don't know if there's anything else, actually. There's so many moves that look good in that position. I mean, even at some point, like almost sacrificing on f2 looks good too. But no, he doesn't defend.
Yeah, he takes on b4, and now knight f2 hits the rook. It threatens discovery. We see knight to c5, using this pawn on b4 to shield the king from the bishop. This is dropping the rook though, and I mean, there is a lot of pressure on d3. Both players very low on time. It looks like black is winning on every board except for Raja's.
Yeah, no, this position is amazing. Can you take on e2 now as well and just pick every single pawn up? Rook e1, you cannot afford to trade rooks, but queen f2 looks really good. Defending everything and also targeting the knight on f3 and then maybe threatening rook d1 at some point. I think, yeah, there we go. Queen f2, looking so strong. Where does the knight go? You have to create some immediate counterplay here, but how are you going to do it? 12 seconds on the board for Batsurin. And we also have a Benjamin Bok win. He beat Oparin, who was 2 out of 2. First win for SLU. There we have it.
Yeah, Oparin's king just absolutely exposed, and this is winning the queen. So Bok getting a huge win, and that ties the score back up. And Theodoro, the board 1, also taking down Antipov. So the top 2 boards getting the job done for SLU. They're back in the lead.
They're back in the lead. It's going to have to be Luca who's going to have to try to get a point back for Mizzou. And we have Raja here as well, looking like a bit of a tough position. Pawn down in this endgame could be salvageable, but the problem is that the g6 pawn is so weak, and it's easy to trade the pieces defending it. So there we go. That pawn falls as well. You have to find some defense, but he only has 3 seconds to go. The time is really showing itself here.
Yeah, this is going to be a win for Kevlishvili, adding on, and you said it's up to Luca now to try to keep Mizzou in it. So Batsurin not playing well. He's going to be the only player from SLU to not get a point, but the team performed fantastically here in the 3rd round. SLU, they didn't like being down by a point, Anna. They brought everything they had here in the 3rd round after that halftime break, and they're going to be up by 2.
They are. They definitely said, let's show who SLU is. And there we go. That's what they're doing right now. So we only have 1 game to go. Luca needs to get this win versus Batsurin. Batsurin is still fighting, going for checks. And now we're getting an endgame. But no trades. And now King, what? King G5? Can you go King G5?
The eval is going crazy. They say rook and pawn endgames are a draw. Definitely something was missed.
Wow, this would be huge if Batsurin is able to draw this, because then actually we would have SLU getting an advantage here. So this would be huge. I mean, Mizzou really needed this win, but now this rook game should just be a draw, because that A pawn is really difficult to. Wow!
I don't know what that was.
There. What just happened? We need to go back after the game is finished to see what was missed there. Wow, that was the one moment, the one chance Luca had to get that point for Mizzou. The really important point. And now the point is that white needs to stay on G2 or H2, because otherwise if King F2, there's rook H1, and then if you take the pawn on A2, there's check on H2, winning the rook. So this is a famous trick. We're seeing white just stopping the king from passing, and this is a very easy, I mean, should be very easy for Batsurin to save this. I would say King B4 maybe will be played. He's, yeah, just going to try to bring the king all the way down. There's always going to be checks, King B2. So now the king is going the other way.
Oh my gosh, Anna. I feel like there's so many things missed from both these players. Rook and pawn games are so tough. Like, it's tough for me as a player, but to see GMs in time pressure mainly messing this up makes some sense. But yeah, we will have to go back and look. That was crazy. Both players less than I mean, I don't think they'll flag, but should we go back and look now?
Yeah, let's see what was missed before. I'm very curious to see what it is that happened.
Okay, there's a couple key moments. I'm trying to, the players keep moving, so I'm gonna have to go back this way. Unfortunately, every time they move, it reset. Okay, here we go. This is the blunder. So what was missed? F5 apparently is the move. And would you have played this, Anna? Would you have found this?
I mean, do I have to be honest with you, Joe? It feels though that pushing the pawn to A2 does limit Black's movement a lot, because if you don't have anything, then the rook and the pawn are just stuck. So I do like the idea of pushing something else, thinking about it, but it's obviously not easy to see with so little time.
Yeah, if I go back even further, like to this move right here. Apparently, this was also a miss. This was a mistake, and Queen G4 is a mistake, allowing for this move Rook apparently to B5, which
Wow.
wait, it's also saying Queen D5. I mean, yeah, leaving the queens on. This is definitely Luca's gonna have to look back at this and try to figure out, because ultimately, yeah, we see the A pawn drop for the G pawn. Black's gonna try to push the F pawn through, maybe try to get a skewer. But if this holds as a draw, that's huge for SLU. I was saying they're gonna be up by 2 points. Well, if this is a draw, they're gonna be up by wait, is it
By 2 points? Yeah.
Still 2?
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to be up by 2 points, but that is a big thing to be up for the 4th round.
Yeah, tough for Mizzou after being up by 1.
Yeah, no, very, very tough. So let's see. I mean, he's still trying. I do admire Luca's perseverance here. He's still trying. This is a drawn endgame, and there we go. We get the draw, but Surin looking so relieved, like shaking his head, smiling, like, how did I save this? Like, this is insane. I should have lost. How did I save this? He's shocked. He's surprised, but he's relieved. It looks like a sign of relief.
Yeah, and Luca, meanwhile, after this match, looks like he might just have to take a nap and go back to bed.
No, he doesn't look happy at all. And yeah, that was a very important game. We thought Luca was going to finish it at any point. Wasn't able to. And there we have the score right now. It's 7-5 to SLU. If SLU is able to get 1.5 point this 4th round, they are going to the finals. They win the match then. So Mizzou really needs now to win by a lot of points if they want to if they want to go to the finals and take this home. So let's see what happens here. Joe, this 4th round is going to be tough for Mizzou, but nothing is impossible. Nothing is ever impossible, and both teams have looked very strong this match.
Yeah, this is going to be all it comes down to. Round 4. If Luca had held on and won, missing a couple opportunities there, it would be a 1-point match, 6.5, 5.5. Instead, SLU, with that huge draw from Batsurin and huge wins from their top 2 boards against Antipov and Oparin, they are enjoying themselves a 2-point lead with 1 round to go. Can they clutch out the win? Can they punch their ticket back to the finals, trying to defend their title for the 3rd season in a row? It all comes down to this. All 8 players ready, except maybe Bok isn't there, but
Bok
we
just
do
left.
have the game. Somebody
Right
tell
now.
Bok to get back.
Where did he go? Oh, there we go. Did he bring... Oh, he brought something to drink. Well, hydration is very important. Also to all our viewers watching this right now, hydration is very important. So maybe that water will make him play a bit better. But we have the game starting. We can maybe start by checking out Theodorou versus Oparin. See how that goes. The 2 board 1 players, technically maybe the strongest ones in each team, and very solid players as well. Let's see what is happening in this game. It's looking like a D4 game too, which is making my heart very happy, although maybe not Joe's heart as happy.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of E4 openings so far in this match, so I'm pretty happy about the opening so far, but I'm happy that we have to see a verdict here. No matter what happens, this match is going to be settled either in this round or in overtime. I would love to see overtime. Frankly, I think SLU's going to clutch it out and get the job done. But Mizzou, they can prove me wrong with some key performances here in this last round. They have to make up for that 3rd round. That 3rd round was absolutely key for this SLU team, and it shows why they're in it to win it. They are the favorite. They are the back-to-back defending champs. If they just get, as you said, 1.5 points, that's all they need. 1 win and 1 draw, and that's it. They're moving on to the finals.
They are. And then we see Webster versus SLU in the finals, which would, by the way, be a crazy finals. 2 extremely strong teams. And that is happening tomorrow. We're seeing the finals tomorrow. We don't know who's going to be in the finals yet, but we're seeing the finals tomorrow. So yeah, here we have the position D6, E4. Theodorou, playing quite I would say like a not pushy position, but we're seeing that black is kind of holding back a little bit, and that's what these kind of positions call for. That black waits a little bit before doing the big push in the center, waiting a little bit, and then doing it. So queen takes d4 looks a bit funny to put your queen on the same diagonal as the bishop, but is there actually knight takes e4 right now?
Takes? I don't know what white would do after knight takes.
Wow, knight takes e4?
What would you have done?
Maybe there's some ideas that no, because the bishop is defended as well by the queen, so there's not even any pins or anything. Wow. Okay, well, we're seeing rook
wasn't
d8.
calling for it, so there must have been something wrong the player saw.
Yeah.
But okay. Queen back, rook d1, doubling up on the d file. Solid chess here. And Theodoru with the white pieces. This is really important. This is why, SLU as the #1 seed, their top 2 boards started with black, but in the 4th and arguably the most important round, they get the white pieces. And Oparin and Antipov are coming off of a loss from both of them in that last round. They cannot afford to lose again here in the 4th round. They need to perform for their team to succeed.
And speaking of, we can check out the Benjamin Bok game versus Antipov, because it's looking like Antipov has a little bit of a bad position right now. So let's see what is happening here. The engine is in a lot of favor for Benjamin Bok. And yeah, we're seeing that this, okay, now c5 has been pushed. Yeah, it looks like he just has a lot of space right now. Maybe even f4 can come at some point. Maybe not now because you take on c5 with check. But yeah, it's looking like it's easy for white to push back black's pieces.
Yeah, you said take on c5 with check, but why not taking it right now? I guess you would have to give up your bishop for the knights, but it does look like a pawn.
It is a pawn, but I'm just feeling like bishop e3, rook c1. We're going to get all our pieces out immediately. Then we're going to play f4. We're going to play e5. And all of a sudden, the bishop on e3 and the bishop on g2 are going to dominate the whole board. This is probably what we're going to see. Antipov is following what you said, Joe, but I would expect that to be the case, at least, to see knight takes bishop and then bishop e3 and f4. Let's see if I'm right or not.
Yeah, Anna, you just kind of called the play. I mean, you're predicting the future here. If Bok goes for your line, I think it works though. It looks really good. Bishop e3, develop a piece with a tempo. F4, hitting another knight with tempo, and then e5, hitting the second knight with a tempo. So is it going to unfold? We have the first move played.
We do. And I think also the point is that the bishop on c8 becomes so difficult to get out because of the fact that this b pawn cannot be pushed due to the bishop on g2. So black is definitely going to be very behind in development. Hard to push the d pawn with the pawn on e5. There's a lot of issues that black can face. And if you can't get all your pieces out, it's going to be tough. So are we going to see f4? Let's see if that happens. Come on, Bok. I mean, Bok will probably find the best move. I'm just excited to see if I can call out the moves, Joe.
Yeah, they might have to call you the prophet, which, by the way, speaking of, you will be joined tomorrow by the one and only Daniel Naroditsky, who is also a prophet, although they say he's the prophet. But I'm saying right now, if he plays f4, e5, Danya might have to defend his title against you tomorrow.
Thank you, Joe. I don't want to take that away from Danya, though. He is the prophet, and I'm so excited to be commentating with him tomorrow. I haven't really said it before, but tomorrow it's going to be me and Danya commentating the finals of the Collegiate Chess League. We're gonna miss you, though, Joe. I've loved commentating with you. We're definitely gonna miss you, and yeah, it's gonna be sad that you're gone, but it's also gonna be fun to have Danya here, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to watch Danya commentate. He's one of the best, if not the best in the biz. I'll still be watching, lurking behind the scenes, but there's so many games happening right now. We see knight a4, a curveball. Okay, so maybe not Prophet Anna, unfortunately. But I want to take us back to Oparin's game.
Yeah, we can do that. Oh, wow, what is happening here? Where is White's queen? White's queen disappeared.
It's a magic trick. Hold on, let's go back. we were saying that Theodoro had a great position. He plays e5. Computer gives it a double question mark. King takes is a miss. Rook takes, and he's trying to get both rooks for the queen. We have the block, and now we do see that trade. Queen up, knight up. So he's playing 2 rooks versus a queen, but the queen is going to be, I mean, the piece is actually not 2 rooks. It's just 1 rook and a bishop. So yeah, much better here for Oparin.
Completely winning for Oparin. I mean, he can probably take on a2. The only thing obviously needs to be a bit careful is that white doesn't have any weird checkmate. Like, I don't even know what checkmate that would be. Now that I'm thinking, I was thinking bishop h6, g4, and something like g5, but there's king f5 then, so I'm not even seeing what checkmate it would be. Maybe one idea you have to be careful with is bishop e7, and if king g7 repetition, I'm not sure. But yeah, we're seeing g4, queen takes pawn, and now the king will probably go up.
Great. Mizzou now is in a must-win situation on every board because Robbie Kevlishvili got the job done against Luka. Luka goes down. Definitely not a good performance from Luka today, despite being comfortable in bed, maybe needing to have taken this match a little more seriously, because now SLU is only a half point away from clinching the final spot.
Yeah, so draw is not enough, and you're right, Joe. Maybe there's a reason for why you don't typically play chess from a bed in tournaments or ever. Maybe this is the scientific proof now that there's a reason for that. So yeah, we're seeing here Benjamin Bok also looking like a better position. I think it's almost fair to say, Joe, that SLU is going to take this home. I cannot see Mizzou winning on every single board from now on.
Yeah, Oparin looks like he'll be able to win up the queen versus rook and bishop against Theodoro. But that's not where Mizzou needs the results. Mizzou needs the results here. And the last game that we haven't quite looked at yet, Batsuan versus Raja. Maybe we take a quick peek at how that one's panning out. But okay, this is kind of a mess of a position here. Both sides with doubled rooks on the F file. All 4 rooks on that F file. This is looking fairly even, though, but Raja needs a must-win here to even just consider forcing overtime.
Yeah, and we can see him sitting close to the screen, really analyzing what can he do. Lots of pieces here. There's not been a lot of trades so far, which obviously always makes the positions look a little bit more complex and complicated because there's more pieces to move. But I think, I mean, in this position, I think, like you said, it's looking pretty equal. The idea is just, the idea is just to come up with an idea, I feel like, for both sides, because it's right now looking like everyone has everything defended. So knight f6, trying to trade off that knight on e4. Will we see knight d2 defending it? Will we see knight takes knight? Will we have him stay with the knight there? I don't think so, because the pawn on c4 becomes very weak. So yeah, I think we'll see. Oh, we're seeing e5, a completely different idea. d4, sorry. With the idea of maybe d5.
Oh, the computer wants a sacrifice on c4. That's kind of crazy. But I'm going to take us back. Okay, Oparin finished off his game against Theodoro, so that is a win for Mizzou. They're down by 2. Any draw for any SLU player gets the job done, gets the match win. Antipov and Raja, backs against the wall, their season on the line, their team's on their back. I mean, it all comes down to these last 2 games. Can Antipov turn the tide? Can he get a win? Or is Bok going to punch their team's ticket to the finals again?
Bok with only 19 seconds. Can Antipov somehow use that time advantage to create something that will make Bok fall down here? We will have to see. Typically, I would say yes. Typically, I would say Antipov, hence the antidote to any single situation. But in this position against Bok, against the one and only Benjamin Bok, it is looking tough, but we're going to see. F4.
Yeah, so the imbalance here, it's the 2 center pawns, E and D pawns against a knight. So Bok is just up a piece for 2 pawns, and simplifying will help him for sure. Can Antipov use the pawns to maybe even queen and promote and get a win? And the crazy part is, even if Bok somehow manages to lose this game, as unlikely as it is, SLU has a backup. They have another board where they could squeak out a draw and clutch the win. So Mizzou, and now Antipov. He's less than 20 seconds. I expect Bok to be able to be the team hero and clutch the win out and send his team back to the finals.
Absolutely. I believe that. I believe that too. But I mean, we're seeing Antipov with a very clear plan, which is to push e5 and then just get 2 pass pawns. 3 seconds?
5 seconds. Oh my God. That's the one way that Bok could really lose this. He's threatening e4, winning the bishop. Bishop tucks up. If pawn push, now we have knight here to defend.
Wow. So little time, 10 seconds. Can you do something with those pawns?
5, 4, 3.
He pushes. He wants to go king d5.
This is must win for Antipov. A draw is not good enough.
A draw
2
is
seconds
not
for Bok. Both players less than 5 seconds. 2 seconds. 4
Check.
seconds. The knight's got to move. He trades bishops.
He trades.
This is winning. This is winning. There goes the A pawn.
Wow.
The A pawn's running. Black has 3 connected pass pawns, but they're going to be stopped.
They are
Bok's
with the bishop
gonna
and
do
the
it.
king. He's bringing in the king. The
The only
bishop
way
now
he
moves
could
to another
lose
diagonal.
is by flagging.
D3!
No! Bok throws!
Wow!
And now Raja's winning against Batsurin.
Antipov wins this game in the craziest manner.
Bok had to bring his king over to stop the promotion.
Wow.
And now Batsurin's winning. Batsurin can clutch for SLU.
Wow. If now Raja wins, it's going to be 8-8, so they cannot do that.
Batsurin just up a rook, Anna.
Batsurin wins.
Oh my God, what a thrilling finish, a roller coaster. What on earth happened in this game?
What happened here?
Raja's just up a queen.
It was insane. Raja was up so much. How could this
Raja
be?
just blunders his queen with one move. This would have been going to overtime, but we see a Botez gambit and Batsurin clutches when Bok threw his game against Antipov, and Batsurin, the board 4 hero, Raja could have sent this match to overtime, drops his queen, and we have SLU going back to the finals, 3rd season in a row to defend their title against Webster.
I am in shock, Joe. I am honestly in shock. I don't even know what to say. I think this one's gonna hurt for Raja. This one's definitely gonna hurt for Mizzou. They were so close, so incredibly close to taking this to overtime. This could maybe have changed everything, but just that one move that just changed everything. But wow, that Antipov game versus Bok, we thought it was impossible. Antipov did the impossible, and he was able to clutch a win with that beautiful move, D3. I am speechless right now. I am speechless. I really don't know what to say, Joe. This is incredible. Incredible finish to the second match of the day in the semifinals.
That was an absolute thriller match of the season so far. We thought Bok was going to clutch. He threw, and then we thought Raja was going to clutch, and he throws. And at the end of the day, St. Louis moves on to win 9-7. They're going to be playing Webster tomorrow with everything on the line. More drama to continue. Anna, what a match.
We are going to be seeing SLU versus Webster tomorrow in the finals. But wow, this Mizzou SLU match, I feel like it's going to go down in history. Every single one of you that's watched this right now, you have watched a piece of history. We are going to remember this in all future seasons. Every time we look back to CCL history, we're going to remember this match, I feel like. And yeah, I am speechless, Joe. But you know who else is probably speechless?
Who? Besides me.
Benjamin Bok, and we're going to be having an interview with him right after this short break. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking to Benjamin Bok very soon. See you after the break.
Looking for new ways to enjoy chess? Check out our schedule of Chess.com community events today. Mondays, play rapid opening roulette and expand your opening repertoire with a new opening each month. Tuesdays, compete against other Untitled players in Untitled Tuesday. Battle your way to the top in Arena Kings on Wednesdays. Join the crazy fun of the Variants Community Series each Thursday. And finish the week off each Saturday with the blistering Community Bullet Brawl. All happening in the Community Club on Chess.com.
Well, hey everyone. We're here at the Chess.com Champions Chess Tour Finals, and of course, fair play is a huge topic for everyone around the world, as it should be, including questions like, can you actually keep a venue secure? Can you actually stop cheating, even if it's some of the most advanced spyware level stuff out there? The answer is yes, you can. And where I just entered is where the players enter. They can go directly to their rooms and back from here. But now we're gonna walk through as if we're a regular person. This guy's gonna say, you don't belong here. But okay, jokes aside. All right, now we're gonna get into the real stuff, all right? Players are brought down into this area before games at a scheduled time so that they have enough time to be fully checked for fair play. This right here is the private lounge area where only staff are allowed to have electronics. The players are not allowed to have any electronics with them once they've entered this area. But when they come early, they do so because they need plenty of time to get fully checked by our fair play tech. I'll try to talk a little softer because they're actually playing their games right now. But okay, at some point here, a player will come over and they'll wait in this line before being asked to enter the private fair play screening area. Once we're in this private fair play screening area, the players wait, only one player in here at a time. I'm standing here right next to a sir who looks like he has a fancy device. What's your name, sir?
My name is George. I work with the fair play department. My job is to detect cheaters, is to find out if anyone is trying to get a gadget that helps him win the game. That's not gonna happen on my watch.
Not gonna happen on his watch, okay. All right, this is a little bit fancier than the normal kind of thing you see in RFT scanner. What exactly is this doing that's different?
It's called a nonlinear junction detector. Its job is to detect any signals transmitted from another device outside or transmitted from a device that is on a player who's trying to cheat outside to a foreign sender. It can only be acquired from specific countries. It's not like a normal metal detector that you just buy on eBay.
It's a microphone. I guess I don't even know why we're doing this. I'm full of the things that are going to get detected. I didn't actually hide anything here, which is good to know. Maybe I should have. But okay, we're going to find out. We'll see. That's right. Don't assume anything. It's pretty phenomenal stuff. Thank you, George. This is pretty much just a bunch of cameras for the show. We do have cameras everywhere, so we're watching the players no matter what. Now, after they've been scanned, they are not allowed to leave this area, like, period, during active gameplay. So you're talking about an area that is maybe more secure than any over-the-board chess tournament that has ever been secured. That's what you're talking about, right? And I hope that watching this video showed you what we're doing. I hope you appreciate it. It's some pretty high-level stuff. I definitely am making a call to every over-the-board organizer to invest in their own nonlinear junction detection devices, because at this point, if you're not doing that, you're not doing it good enough, and we hope that you will consider investing in the same way that Chess.com has. We out.
I'd classify trading as a game really that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the Collegiate Chess League presented by SIG. Collegiate Chess is only growing. The College Ambassador Program membership is at 38,938 total online club members. Joe, that's a huge increase. Can you tell us a bit about the College Ambassador Program?
Yeah, the College Ambassador Program is something where college chess club leaders can join and get a lot of benefits and rewards from Chess.com. So we send out a lot of merch, we send out a lot of free memberships. So if you're a college student and you're in a college chess club, definitely join this program. And you can see these are the top schools in the program with the most number of students in their Chess.com club pages. So definitely try to check that out.
We are now joined by the one and only Benjamin Bok. Benjamin, welcome. What a thrilling match that was. I want to say congratulations to your team, obviously, but you probably don't feel so happy right now. But you've had a fantastic season. You've played so well. I wanted to quiz you a little bit on if you remember your last loss this season.
Yeah, I think that was probably against either Dallas or UTD. I remember I lost to Dallas against, what's his name, Petty. So yeah, that's definitely a loss. Oh, but I also lost to Aram in the match against Webster. So I guess that is probably my last loss. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy, of course, that we won the match. But yeah, still like a little bit disgusted that I lost that last game, which really should have never happened. Because yeah, I think I just hallucinated at the end there for a second. I thought, okay, F2, I go King E2, and then I thought he has D3, but of course I just take the pawn, and then yeah. But well, and then I saw we lost. I lost that game, and then I saw the score that we were up 8-7, and Dambasuren was completely lost. So I went to stepped away for a second, and then when I came back, apparently we won the match. I was like, what happened? But apparently Raja hung his queen. So yeah, very happy that we won the match, and that tomorrow we'll play in the finals. And yeah, I think basically when Raja hung his queen, I think that was just Caleb taking over there.
Well, Bok, that was probably the most wild finish we could have ever asked for. You looked like you were winning up a piece. It looked like Batsurin was up and winning. And all of a sudden, Raja turned it around in his game. You obviously blundered in the very end, allowing Antipov to queen. So it looked like we were going to see overtime. And this is a Mizzou team that you guys crushed last time you played them. I believe 11.5 to 4.5. And you personally got a sweep 4 out of 4. So when you played against Raja and he drew against you, did you start to feel like maybe this is a different kind of caliber Mizzou team? Were you starting to feel a little bit nervous at that point?
Yeah, honestly, I felt like from the very first game that it was not going to be easy because I played it with Black against Luca. He came right out of the gate with some strong preparation. So I figured that they would take this match a lot more seriously, because it's the playoffs. It's all or nothing. In regular season, it doesn't matter as much anymore because, well, you only have to make it into the top 6. But in the playoffs, I mean, if you lose, it's the season's over. And yeah, so I figured it was not going to be an easy match at all. And then we also were down after the second match. Fortunately, the third round went very well for us. We had a 2-point lead going into the final round. But yeah, no, I knew that it was not going to be as easy as the regular season. I think they definitely came well prepared.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you also if you, before the match, were you and you as a team, were you nervous? Or how did you feel before the match, before seeing how they were playing? Or did you think this was going to be easy?
Yeah, I mean, before these kind of matches, there's always, butterflies. Like there's always some nerves whenever you play over the board or you play online. So I guess same thing for them because, yeah, once again, it's just all or nothing at this point. Because, yeah, if you lose it, the season's over and all of the work has been for nothing. But, yeah, now we're in the finals and now we need to win tomorrow.
Well, Bok, you guys just played against Mizzou. This was actually a replay of the season 1 finals. This was the inaugural season finals, and you guys won that match. And you guys are also the defending back-to-back champions. This is your 3rd year in a row in the CCL finals. So I wanted to ask you, what's it like going back to the finals? How confident are you? And one really quick question to sneak in there. Is this your last season in the CCL?
This is probably going to be my last season, indeed. Yeah, because I've been on scholarship since 2018, and usually, after 6 years, things come to an end. So, yeah, this is probably going to be my last season. But yeah, to answer your question, I feel like the league is getting stronger and stronger every year. Mizzou always used to be our toughest competitor, and they also proved that today. But Webster also very, very tough team, and they brought in Gladura for the playoffs. So I think we're a slight favorite, but not at all by a big margin.
Well, it's very sad to hear that you're not going to be continuing in the CCL. It's been so fun to watch all of your games. We got a question from chat here as well, which is, how are you going to spend your newly acquired channel points? Chat really wanted to know this because we heard that you got a lot of channel points by betting on your team for winning, which I love the confidence, by the way, Benjamin. I think it's great to go in with that confidence. But yeah, how are you going to spend your newly acquired points?
Yeah, I always just go all in. So I went all in against Webster, against Mizzou. We won those matches. And today I also went all in on Webster when they had their match against UTRGV. So right now I'm at 912,000 points. So tomorrow I'll just go all in again when we play Webster and try to get to 1 million.
There's got to be some sort of reward for 1 million channel points. I don't know if anyone else has that many. That's kind of crazy. But we had another social question from G Photos saying, great comeback in game 1 and a win in game 3. But where was the turning point in games 2 and 4?
So against Raja, I was doing well. I think I kind of lost the plot a little bit when I didn't take the pawn on d5, and I just sort of let him crawl back into the game, and I felt like his moves were easier. And also I let the time situation completely even out. And yeah, from a better position, I had to fight for a draw there. In game 4, I feel like at some point I just made a lot of bad decisions. First of all, when he took on e3, I went into the endgame, whereas I should have just recaptured on e3 and played for the initiative. And then I should have kept the rooks on. And then at the very end, I blundered. So, it was a very up and down match in all of the games. Like you guys said, apparently also in the other games, some crazy things happened. But I guess that's just how it goes in Blitz, and especially when there's more at stake. Like, people are going to make more mistakes. So, yeah, we'll have to do better tomorrow. I feel like, for the most part, everyone did well. But yeah, tomorrow, all of us just have to do well against Webster because they're a very strong team.
And speaking of tomorrow, I wanted to ask one final question, which is, if you do win tomorrow, how is SLU going to celebrate their 3rd win in a row? Have you thought about it yet?
Well, apparently Joe sent us some merch, so I will definitely, hand it out to my teammates. And then, maybe a nice lunch or something on, the coach, Varakobian, can buy us some nice lunch because he always promises that when we win.
That's amazing. Well, I hope you get your lunch and very much good luck tomorrow. We will be watching it with full of excitement. We can't wait for tomorrow. So good luck. And with that, here's what tomorrow's final is going to look like. Here we have the brackets. We are going to be starting off tomorrow with the third place match. So we're going to be having Mizzou playing UTRGV, and then we're going to be having St. Louis University facing Webster for the finals, and one of these two teams is going to be the winner of this season. Will St. Louis University be able to come back the third season in a row, or will Webster, the new team that's been doing a fantastic season, be the new winner? We will see that tomorrow. Joe, are you as excited as I am for tomorrow? It's going to be a fantastic day. It's going to be amazing.
Anna, we've been building up to this one day for like over 2 months now, and maybe even longer than that if you count the preparation going into the season. Bok and the SLU team, they won the last 2 finals. They punched their ticket into the 3rd final in a row, and now they're up against the newcomers, the challengers, Webster University, first time in the CCL and first time in the finals. You can't script it better than this. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, and it's all happening tomorrow. So you don't want to miss it. And we're actually going to be sharing some of your photos that you submit on the broadcast live tomorrow. So definitely tune in, share a photo, use the hashtag CCL Finals for us to find it. You could also tag our socials at Collegiate Chess League. And we want to see where everyone's tuning in from. So definitely be there, and you'll get a shout out from Anna and Danya, who's going to be commentating. So I cannot wait to see you guys do it. And I want to wish Bok his very best of luck, as it's going to be his last ever CCL match. What a finish.
What a finish. That is a crazy storyline, but he's had such a fantastic season. And like you mentioned, tag us. You can tag me as well in these pictures. And me and Danya tomorrow will be shouting out you. Not shouting out you, giving you a shout out. We will not shout at you. We'll give you a shout out if you do that. So tune in tomorrow. Joe, the semifinals has been amazing. Literally couldn't ask for better semifinals. And I am so happy that I've been able to do this whole season with you. It's been so fun.
Yeah, what an honor, Anna. It's been such a pleasure. I couldn't ask for a better host, and I'm seriously grateful, not only for you and our broadcast team, but also all the viewers, the moderators, and everyone that really worked together to make all of this happen. So shout out to everyone, and good luck to the players tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you once again to everyone, all the viewers, all the moderators, broadcast team, everybody that has been helping putting out this whole show. And me and Daniel Naroditsky will be back tomorrow, same time as today, 7 p.m. CET, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I think I got it right this time. For the finals of the Collegiate Chess League. Do not miss it. It's going to be an amazing one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.